So everybody, welcome to welcome to Free Game. The idea around Free Game is just literally that. We're just sharing our experiences. And today, we decided to do a topic. Last time we just kind of left it open and answered questions, but this time I brought some of my friends and people that I respect. We want to talk about collectively how to start. I think last week or 2 weeks ago, a lot of the topic was around how do you start, or what are the first steps around starting, or what do you know, when do you know you need to start? So after we had to pivot from pushing the Nike conversation back a couple weeks, we decided to go in with a group of the A team of people who had to back the way into the business. Everybody on the call today with me came up similar to me. They didn't have any investments. They had to start their business on their own, and the only thing they had was themselves getting into it. So I figured this group of fellas would be really good. Would be a really good setup. Would be a really good group for the world to ask questions to, and help them start in whatever their process is. Fellas, y'all want to go off and introduce yourselves? I don't think y'all need to, but let's do it anyway, just as a formality.
Frank Cooker, creative. Man, I'm just, blessed to be here, man. Blessed to, be here with my brothers and a lot of people that I look up to, a lot of hustle, a lot of work went into, what they've built and what we built together. And I'm just proud to be in this room, for sure.
Thank you, brother. Frank, background on Frank, known Frank for since I started. Shit, when he was back at Wish and we was buying together.
Yeah, you had that chain with the cross on it.
Get out. Go ahead, Derek. You just jumped on the screen, man. Derek Curry, Sneaker Politics, man. I don't know if he need an intro, but go for it, Derek.
Yo, first off, thank you for doing this, man. Second off, thank you for picking me as the headliner. I own Sneaker Politics. That's about it, man. That's all y'all know me for.
Dion, you can't say Derek without saying Dion, so Dion.
Yeah. Yeah, I basically put Derek on, you know what I'm saying? And then he ran laps around me. He ran laps around me, got really rich while I'm still just working for the man at Concepts, doing collabs. Derek got like 50 stores. So that's all I'm gonna say about that.
My brother.
But cheers to Frank, man. Happy birthday. It's good to see everybody, and we're all excited to be here. Thank you again.
We got Dwayne Peltier, who's hat in his face. Pel, you want to say something to the people?
My man, Pel.
No, I'm just happy to be here. Happy birthday, Frank. Great room to be in. A lot of industry vets, dudes carrying some heavy weight. I'm just waiting for the conversation.
Foundation homies and brothers, Ari, Dre, Hutch.
Yeah, we are here. Dre Hayes, one of the partners, co-founders of the foundation. Happy birthday, Frank. Just happy to be here, man. It's like a dinner conversation,
Ari Langsdorff, James, again, like Derek, thanks for doing this, man. I thought the last one was dope and it was a lot of fun. Part of the foundation, and from time to time I carry James's luggage and jewelry.
Thank you so much to the foundation group, man. Y'all really took a chance on me on my first ever collab, and it was a hat, and it was New Era, and it was everything with the clips and play clothes was crazy. And I appreciate y'all so much, man. I wouldn't be who I am today without y'all. And Foundation Group always, grow with me first from day one.
That goes for me as well, bro. They put me on. Nobody knew Louisiana was a state. To my calls.
They opened me for Crooks and Castles like 1 million years ago, so I owe them for that.
We can't forget Eric Wise hiding in the back incognito. I don't know how I'm supposed to do this introduction, but so I'll let Eric give himself an introduction so I don't get him and me in trouble.
Oh man.
I'm just happy to be here, just like everybody else says. I'm an old retailer. I used to buy jeans from Dre in Philly from back in the day. Bought some stuff from Ari, and then now I try to sell a couple of these guys some sneakers.
Couple pair.
I've been around a little bit. Happy to be here.
he's embellishing, but pay attention. The man sits in a good space and feeds like everybody here tries to work to feed the people for the right reasons, man. Yo, fellas, thank y'all for the support as always, man. I could always depend on y'all through my 15 years. I've been able to depend on y'all. I don't ever want to take that for granted. So I want to start off by just saying I appreciate and love all of y'all, and I thank y'all for always supporting me.
Goes both ways, bro.
So I'm Joe. I operate Oneness Boutique. All of these guys on the screen have always picked me up every time I fell. A story, Dre Hayes. I was trying to get a creative rec account about a decade ago. I didn't have shit. No money, nothing. Dre had 25 carat earrings in. I was like, I'm going to.
We're 1 carat. Why are you saying it?
Who, am I lying?
Fact.
Dre Hayes. I never told you that.
Those parties used to be lit though. The creative rec, those parties was where it's at.
It's coming up.
What's up, Jazzy Jazz? What's your name, bro?
Dave.
What's up, Dave? Nice to meet you. Where you from?
I'm from Texas, man. I'm way from the border, man. I'm right on the border. I'm in Laredo, Texas.
No, did I go back and forth with you on Instagram or did you hit me?
Well, I mean, I recommended you to still go live to still do this live.
Yes, and yes. I know we spoke. What's up, bro? Thanks for the support. Thanks for the love.
Definitely, man. So I got a couple of locations. I own a streetwear and a barbershop. So it's a concept location. So it's the kicks, the clothing, and the cuts.
I looked at that.
Okay.
Wait, you said you opened a Concepts in Texas?
No concepts. No. It's a concept store. You know, shout out to Dion Point. I've heard good stuff about you, man. You know, I'm over here. I'm on the border, so I don't get to network with a lot of you guys, man. I'm over here by Mexico, but I actually own 7 locations here in Texas.
Damn.
So we got 2 in Houston, 1 in San Antonio, McAllen, Corpus. And I'm trying to, you know, learn how to franchise and stuff like that. But for right now, I'm working on leasing the name. But, I mean, I got so many questions, man. But I'm just looking to network and get my name out there, you know, because I'm a lot more behind the scenes. You know, we tend to be behind the scenes more. But I'm trying to get a little bit more out there and network with other owners. But I guess one of the first questions, man, is, you know, scaling questions. If you can, I mean, I know Derek, you know, I know James, you're out here in Texas now also, you know, I know Dion Point, you know, with Concepts and Oneness Store too out there, you know. So if you guys can go back to scaling, what were some of the issues you guys had when you were trying to scale your business? And what would you tell your young self to not, like, how would you fix those, you know, those challenges you had with scaling?
Hardest part about scaling to me is keeping the same vibe that you wanted to keep when you first opened your first store.
Correct.
That's what makes you different from Foot Locker and all these other big chain stores. Like, you come into politics and there's a vibe there. Like, these kids all worked for me or learned from me, and they know exactly how we want to run the store. To keep that going in multiple locations is really, really hard. I've never hired anyone outside. I've always hired people that work for me in Lafayette, and then moved on and went to another location. And I think that's why our stores, you could go to any of my stores and it feels like the same vibe at every store. That, and it's all about employees, man, having the right people and just having people that understand your vision and want to do it. You know what you have in your mind.
Now, do you have a certain budget that you suggest to, you know, hire the right team?
Budget's tough, man. Cause I talk to Dion all the time. His apartment rent is twice my home rent, my mortgage. So it's hard to tell you a price, but I get flack for it all the time. But dude, you pay for what you get. So I overpay my guys, but dude, they kill it for me. I don't have to worry about anything. I could go quarantine for 4 more months and they're gonna run the whole business and kill it for me. So
now, do you recommend a commission base? Do you recommend a commission base for it?
Nah, I don't do commission, man. Well, I guess I kind of do a little commission. Now that you say it, I do salaries, and then there's bonuses at the end of the year.
Shelton Hawkins, what's up, bro?
What's up, fellas?
How are you?
Yes, I'm good. What about yourself?
Man, blessings.
All right, so James, man, you met a couple years ago on a plane going to Nike. I don't know if you remember that. And then we talked a couple times offline about the store in DC. I went to the store in DC. And Frank, happy birthday today, man.
Yeah.
Blessing.
Yeah, so my question is, man, I've been doing these outdoor basketball courts the last couple of years, and I've been approaching brands, but I think like my pitch decks haven't been correct. Like Frank, I know I bug you all the time about pitch decks, and I'm gonna keep bugging until I get one right. So I feel like I miss out on a lot of opportunities because I don't have the correct vocabulary when I'm showing my pitch deck. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, I understand exactly what you're saying.
So for me, it's been like, all right, if you don't know the proper term, like the proper stuff you're supposed to have in a pitch deck, and everybody's like kind of vague when they tell you like, yeah, just kind of tell your story. But so I went to Nike, they understood, but they ain't nothing happening. So I feel like I keep failing. I'm not failing, but I keep like missing out on opportunities because I'm not like presenting the right stuff.
Is your question, how do you get polished enough to be able to capitalize on some of the opportunities that you feel like you're missing out on?
Yep.
Anybody specific on the panel you would like to answer the question? Because I'm sure everybody on here could give you some insight in that, fellas. And if y'all want to jump into it, feel free, please.
For me, I would look at it a little bit different, right? Because you know, a deck to me is cool to provide information, but I think I put it on the person that's receiving the deck if you really pulled up. You know what I'm saying? Like if they don't know, if they're not familiar with what you got going on or your activation or what's going on, how can you just look at a deck and just be like, oh yeah, well this will be cool. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like, so don't think of it like that. I think encourage them more to pull up to what you have going on. And you know, I mean, this is a little bit different climate what we have going on with, you know, the COVID thing. But you know, when they were free to travel, I think that, you know, they should pull up, you know, because it's different when you can hear about the Rucker, but have you ever pulled up?
True.
That's different.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You know what I'm saying? You can hear about Uptown.
Frank, I'm gonna challenge that though. I'm gonna challenge that, right? Because as brands, and I'm gonna talk to Ari, Hutch, and Dre on this one, right? Because as brand owners and brand architects, the expectation is always to pull people in, right? So those guys go out and target the best guys. And Frank, you know this. The creme de creme is always gonna get the first shot in our world, right? So
absolutely.
Because of that, new guys don't always get the best chance. They gotta break in. So I think two ways, right? You gotta earn the energy, and you gotta make people come to you. But as you're making them come to you, you're right. You got to make sure that deck is pointed up, but that's where you got to you have to do the work and understanding what a great pitch deck looks like. Does that make sense? That means
it does.
If you getting your ideas in a deck to people, and for whatever reason it's not coming to fruition, all it takes is one good guy to tell you what they don't like or what that deck is missing.
Perfect.
So like, don't be too don't be too proud to ask these guys questions like, yo, is it missing something? Is there something lacking? Is there another thing you would have me look at to compare mine to? Because everyone on this call, my partners and I, all my friends, like we all are inspired by others and look at others to get better. So like a deck is no different, right? We keep the best ones we get sent as brand guys because people pitch us all the time, and James gets pitched all the time, and Derek and Dion and Joe and whatever. We keep them. And when we're building our own stuff, we're using those as benchmarks, and not that you're copying, but you're utilizing some of that ingenuity into whatever you're putting out. So the more you ask and the people reject you, the better you get.
And you may not have access to view those things, but what you have to do is there are Adobe classes, there's InDesign classes, there are a ton of programs out there for you to learn how to create a deck. And no different than shooting a jump shot. In today's climate, you're right. That pitch deck, that deck for who you are is as important as your retail.
Before the deck gets to someone, you just got to know the vibes. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's just the total honest truth. You know, like it's been some high end you know, brands and some high-end things that I've seen that the deck wasn't really good, but we knew that people wanted it. You know what I'm saying? And so
Right.
it is about the vibes first, to me, you know, and you can make it, you can polish it however you want to and like make it look really good. But like people know when, you know, it's been things like brands haven't shipped or whatever.
Okay, I feel like I pitch deck all the time, but I don't know if it's the correct vocabulary is what I'm saying. I understand like the format of the deck, but I don't understand like the correct vocabulary and like, all right. So when you was like, yo, make sure you have a lot of pitches, and then the people from another brand like, make sure.
This is what I'm gonna do for you to help you personally. You have my email address. If not, Dave from our team will send you our email address. Once you get our email address, I'll send you our deck. So you have a deck to benchmark. So once you see our deck, you take our deck, and now you'll have a deck to benchmark off of. You got any questions? Email the questions back, bro, and we'll get back to you. My apologies if I don't get right back to you, but my goal is to try to help everybody as much as I can. But I'll make sure if you get us your email address, I'll try to get you our pitch deck out before our call has been over. Thank you for bringing some positive energy and vibes to us, brother. Blessings.
Yeah, man, y'all be safe, all right?
All right, brother. What's good with you, bro? What's your name?
Oh, what's up, man? My name's Tyreek, aka DJ N1. I went to your first free game session in Charlotte. I
know your face, bro. I know your face.
I appreciate that, man. So my question would be, I just get straight to the point. You know, when you run a business, how do you need to have it set up to where you're putting money back into the business, but also having it to where you still have enough cash flow for yourself to where, like, you know, like, see, I DJ and right now we're on a downtime. So thankfully I was smart enough to kind of save up because I knew it was coming, but I need to get some new equipment, like whether it be a new speaker or maybe just a new turntable as itself. Like what would be your advice to people who have like money and like, should it be cash flow first or putting money back into the business first? Because even though I don't really want to run like boutiques and stuff like that, I still feel like every business can relate in some way, shape, or form. You feel me? So,
Dre, you want to jump in here?
In any business, man, managing cash flow is one of the difficult things. You know, you always look at it's managing cash flow, and usually if you have to hire employees, getting the right employees is the other thing. So people and managing cash flow. It's good that you did put some money away, because you always should put some money away. My business partner, Ari, rings it in my ears every single day. We got to save, save, save. But, you know, it's challenging too when you're growing, right? So it's always about balancing your business, right? So as far as investing in that equipment right now, I mean, this is a tough time, man. I don't know how many shows you're going to be doing
I don't know either, man.
Yeah, so maybe investing in that equipment right now might not be the right time. Now, if it's some equipment that's essential to helping you get better, like if it's the turntables but if it's the turntables and your turntables are broke, then obviously that's essential to your business. So, you know, you just got to prioritize what's absolutely needed, but definitely keeping sort of buffer to protect you on the backside is important. Also, you know, your business, because we do got all different kinds of businesses. With you being you said you're a DJ, and what was your other business?
Yeah, I just DJ for right now. I do like club promotions and things of that nature, but mainly DJing for the time being.
Yeah, well, I would say if you're in the event space, man, I don't know if you've been reading all the reports in the newspapers, but, you know, nightclubs going to be the last thing to open, large gatherings, sporting events. So, to me right now, you got to hunker down, you know, find another side hustle, do whatever it takes to survive, because it's going to be ugly. It's ugly for everybody out here, but especially anybody that's in events and entertainment is going to have a tough time over the course of, you know, I say for the rest of this year.
Yeah, that's why I started looking into the stock markets and things like that, and that's been pretty interesting, you know. So
be careful there too.
Yeah.
I appreciate your support always, and appreciate you investing your time, bro.
No problem.
All right, thank you. How you doing, bro?
Hey, great, man. How are you doing?
Pretty good. Your name is Armani?
Yeah.
How you doing, bro? Where you from?
I'm from New York, man.
Oh, man. Thank you for
Blessings.
your time and thank you for coming out to join us tonight. What's good with you?
No, I just got a few questions. I got a two-part question. First off, I was looking to buy this storefront in my city,
Yeah.
and I wanted to turn it into a sneaker storefront.
Okay.
But the thing is I heard when you get a license to sell from retailers like Nike and stuff, you generally get GR inventory that really doesn't move that well. So my first question was, how do you build rapport with retailers? Is it based on volume of product moved, or is it based on, location, things like that?
Hold on. Let me back up to make sure. You mean how do you build the business? How do you build the relationship with brands, not retailers? Correct?
Correct.
Yes. Yes.
Dion, go for it.
Yeah, I mean, I've been around a long time. I'd say you're asking the right questions for sure. You seem to be sensible about it. It's a tough road, man. You have a lot up against you right now. You have a lot of competition. The business is obviously a little bit all over the place right now.
Yeah, definitely.
You could absolutely secure a space for probably cheaper money than ever. But the main thing you got to keep in mind is the brands don't want you to rely on them. I don't think anybody would be eager to go into business knowing that you're dependent on them and only them. So you got to definitely like cut your teeth and figure out brands that you could acquire quickly with minimal to no risk to you, meaning maybe on not necessarily consignment, but maybe you got terms structured or you could sell it and you got an audience.
Yeah.
Having a store, you just got to differentiate yourself from everybody else. In New York, as much as I hate to admit it, is probably one of the tougher places in the world to do that.
Oh yeah, definitely.
It's not impossible though, absolutely not. But what I used to tell Derek when we used to have these calls like 15 years ago is like, listen, forget the big guys for a second and kind of focus on kind of some small wins, and you got to really prove to them and yourself that you can do it. It takes a lot to get a brand to believe in you, but I think you stay on your course and you get focused and you understand there's gonna be ups and downs. It'll unfold, man. It's just very difficult. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Armani, one thing that I'm gonna tell you is starting, you gotta own your own narrative.
Mm-hmm.
But it takes you a while to even understand what that means, right?
Yeah.
So to sharpen it is, you got to ask yourself, who is your business serving and why? And is someone else in the close proximity doing something similar to you? If so, they're going to box you out. Does that make sense? So the thing you got to ask yourself is, what can you provide to the marketplace that's uniquely different than what's already being provided? And if it's being provided already, how can you do it better? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I definitely thought that out. And I've got an idea for everything. But the thing is, like, I just wanted your guys' insight before I actually took, the jump to buy the storefront and then eventually put inventory in the store.
Well, I do have a question for you. Where is this store located? Where are you located?
I'm actually in Utica, New York. We've got maybe about 3 or 4 different retailers.
Okay.
And, they generally get like decent sneakers and whatnot. But I was just looking to make something that is accessible to all people because they're usually like lottery based and people really can't make it out there like that.
Well, what I was going to say to you is this, and I know all the other fellas on here who have the retail stores have some insight. If you're looking at getting accounts with elite sneaker accounts, sometimes there's adjacency to other retailers with certain level accounts that come into play. So if you're going to buy a storefront or lease a storefront, that's something that you want to be cognizant of. There's also a movement right now with some of the bigger brands going more with their direct to consumer and reducing the footprint of their retail partners out there. So also, if it's just about the sneakers, you got to be careful with that. Like the guy said, you got to look for some small wins. It can't be only about Nike or only about Adidas, because at this point, that'll be a tough road. So you really got to think about what you want to do and look at some of those other variables and factors that are going to help determine how successful you are.
I got a better one for you.
You're trying to go on.
Eric Wise.
Yeah, Eric. Yeah.
I was gonna call him out too.
Here you go.
I was waiting.
Here you go. This is perfect.
No, I mean, I think what you guys are saying is right. I'll take it from 2 different ways. One, even when I was on the retail side at Villa and out of Philly, growing, trying to build the brand, to James's point, like, what's your narrative? Like, our narrative was we're the only kind of retail store that wanted to go in the hood, like deep in the hood, not just
definitely.
mall. We had no mall stores. We were just, you know, it was all about that and supporting the community. So that was our narrative. So to other brands, we were different. Now that I'm on the brand side, I still, and all brands still look for that, right? You got some of the best that's on this call from a retail standpoint. So how are you different from them? You know, how do you bring something to a brand that's different? And if it's similar, kind of what Dre was saying too, is like, it's going to be a fight, but then what else can you do? What else can you do in the community? How, you know, do you have your own brand? Like, how do you have your private label apparel, et cetera, et cetera? Like, there's more to it. How are you multi-dimensional as a retailer? Because if you depend on us and our competitor, you know, from a brand standpoint, it's tough. It just really is. There's more to it than that. And that's, you know, that's just the landscape today.
100%. Listen, bro, you said you had a backup. I don't want to not let you get your last. Did we answer everything you got? I got one more thing I want to say to you if you have nothing else for us.
Yeah, that was the first part of my question. And the second part is just like how distribution works.
Ooh.
Like, it's lottery based now because, you know, I look at product and whatnot, and it's like it's all over the place now.
I don't think any of us are in a position to talk distribution for Nike, Adidas, Jordan. Like, that's taboo and kind of disrespectful to their brand strategy, right?
Yeah.
Each company has their own brand strategy, so I can't say, hey, this is this is that. But from, I think, basic knowledge is there's general releases, quick strikes.
Yep.
There's a version of strategy that goes along with all of those things. But along the lines is this. More important is this. Starting a business is a risk, right?
Definitely.
But I think everybody on this panel is on this panel for one reason, because they bet on themselves. These are guys who had the balls to go out there and believe in what they want to do and put their money where their mouth was, right? And these are people who looked at their market in their area, and they had to start one day like you, and they had to size up the marketplace and understand that either they was going to lose and win. So, my advice to you would be, get sharp on the homework and understanding who you're going to be in the marketplace and why, and understand how you're going to win, and invest the time. All of us have time now based on the global situation. Invest the time in doing the homework and research of how you can lean the chips a little bit towards your way towards winning. Does that make sense?
Oh, definitely, sir. Definitely. I appreciate it.
I appreciate you investing your time and coming out and spending time with us, Steven. If you need anything else, obviously you can hit me on DM. You get any of the fellas on our Instagram, and I try to be as responsive as I can. Good luck in everything you do. Remember, man, just lock in and own your narrative.
All right. Thank you. I appreciate all your guys' insights. You guys have a great night.
Love, bro. All right.
Yo.
What's up, bro?
How you doing, my man? So my name is Luis, but they call me LA Barber.
LA Barber?
I'm a barber.
Okay.
So I'm part of the barbershop side as far as the TDK, which Dave, the first one that was on the video chat, from Texas. So I actually own some equity on 2 of the locations. But my job is more on the barbershop side. But now since I took over, but I started managing a lot more the McAllen area, and we sell a lot of hype, right? Because it is two dope cuts, 2 dope clothing, and 2 dope kicks. So we have the concept store is the kicks, cuts, and clothing. So
that's fire. All
that is integrated into one store. So now in that store we sell a lot of hype clothing, but I see that a lot of your stores don't have hype. So my question is this: why don't you sell as much hype? And where do you see hype in the future? Hype as far as the hype brands, as far as like Supreme, things like that.
Ari, go for it.
So James has Dior and Margiela and Bape and Rude and Amiri and like some of the best brands in the world that, I don't know, Dior's in 5 retailers in the United States. The other 3 of the 5 have been around for 100 years. So taking a brand like Supreme in your store when you're a tier 0 Nike and a tier 0 Jordan and a high-end retailer isn't a good look for your brand partners, because Supreme isn't selling you that product. you're buying that product and then reselling it. And when you're getting product direct from accounts like James is getting them from, and Dion gets from, and Derek gets from, and Joe gets from, those brands don't want to see what they deem black market product in your stores. So, you know, those brands expect people to buy Supreme from Supreme.
Yeah.
And don't want to sit beside, you know, a not real wholesale Supreme account.
LA.
Yes, sir.
All right, here's some retail principles.
Okay.
In retail, the first retail principle. In retail, when you true to this thing that we do, it's very tough to be looked at from other legitimate brands if you transship someone else's brand. If Ari is a partner on BBC, or the foundation is a partner with BBC in their business, if those guys don't agree to sell you their product and you then go get their product from someone else, that's called transshipping.
Yeah.
You can't, and that's a felony in this business.
You don't do it.
You don't do it, and people lose respect for you when you do.
Absolutely.
So, but in this culture, resale culture has become important for sneakers, right? And it's also become important for specifically Supreme, right? Because Supreme is one of the brands that is highly coveted right now. But for us, we let Supreme do that. Does that make sense? Because that's Supreme's business, and their business model is for it to be vertical. So unless the guys from Supreme reach out to me or I reach out to them and they approve me to sell what they're doing in our retail, I will not carry it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I'm going to only invest in partners that are invested back in me. Does that make sense? Now, I understand when you're starting, sometimes you don't have relationships, right? And what you're doing is you're chasing demand. But you got to the conversation that we had with someone else earlier, you got to measure who you want to be. If you're not willing to struggle in the beginning to get where you need to go, then you'll never be able to have a legitimate retail business. Does that make sense? Because eventually you have to start with people who want to invest with you. So I think Dre or somebody else early in the call, Dion said, start small. You got to be willing to start with the brands that want to invest with you and then grow. But in that process, making sure that you represent your community, represent yourself, and represent your distinct point of view of retail.
We do have our in-house brand, which is called Too Dope. I'm wearing it right now. So now Too Dope, just right now, I hope anybody can reach out. But we're here to make relationships. We're pretty deep in Texas, and we definitely have to build relationships for that and carry brands in our store. And if there's any business opportunities with other brands out there, we have our doors open as well, because I see the future. I see what's happening with hype, and I understand your answer now. It's clear to me now. So I understand that part, and I do want to start building relationships with those brands that are out there. Yes, sir.
Can I ask a question? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
So as a barber, right? So I understand that, like, if you dig deep into what a barber does, right? You guys used to be dentists, tattooists, whatever. It's been a lot of things that go into being a barber, right? So how are you looking for the future to add that? Because it's a necessity, right? It's something that's hygiene. How are you looking to improve that experience for your consumer? And if you were to merge both being a barber and having this, how are you keeping your consumer safe?
Safe in the actual store?
Yeah, so they're saying that Texas would open up Friday. How would you make me feel safe enough to be comfortable enough to get a cut from you?
Okay, so as a barber, we build relationships. So our clientele have a very strong relationship with our barbers, and they feel automatically safe because of that relationship. Now, as far as somebody coming in that's new into the store, because we're in malls, right? So let's just say people that are the first time coming into the store. The way we are going to work it is we're only going to have certain barbers be able to cut hair. So our store is, is spacious. So what we're going to do is always wear our masks now. We always follow.
How about capes?
Excuse me?
Are the capes going to be disposable?
The capes are not disposable. They are washable. But that's a good point right there. We can work on something that, because there hasn't, what we do is we put neck strips, right? So on the neck strips, we make sure that it doesn't touch skin, and that's always been a procedure from TDLR, which is the Texas Department of Licensing and Registration.
So my thing is that if it's trust, how do you, going forward, whether it's sneakers, barbershops, delis, whatever you want, food sources, whatever, how do you provide the trust of it all? Because when the first recession hit and I was at Wish, it was about knowing how I had my client base come through, the clients knew that we had the newest, freshest thing that you could have. But now this is different. I never had to sell anybody anything curbside.
Well, check, but I want to make sure bigger than where you're going right now, I don't think he's at, right? I think he's still trying to figure out what the narrative is for his business. He's still in the first phase.
You got something with that barbershops flipping sneakers thing. You got something, because all of us have thought about that. And if you're going this far and you got that many locations, that is your focus.
Yeah. So what I would say is, and I think I gave the same advice to your partner. I would say focus on your narrative, get sharp on who you guys want to be, and deliver for the communities you're in. Expand your message globally, digitally, and if you need anything from us, just keep
survive the storm.
Following up, and we're here to help. This platform is here to help you. So if you got any other questions, obviously hit us online, or I'll see you in a couple weeks next time we come at it again.
And I appreciate your time. I need to do.
Appreciate your time.
Man, good luck.
You got something, G.
Go for it, Dave.
Man, I want back.
Somebody from the South.
What's up, sir?
What's up with you, bro? How are you?
Hey, what's going on? My name is Demario. I'm from DC, and
what's good?
I'm on the journey to open up my first retail store and also brand. Basically, if I'm understanding correctly, you guys are talking about controlling the narrative, and for me, the control of the narrative would be it's not even so much just about number one priority is not fashion, but it's about, hey, how can our store actually develop the community? How can we raise the quality of living in this community? And we would use brands or whatever, anything that sells that says, hey, this is the quality of life that our community should have. That's our narrative. I have two questions. First, I want to say, James and Dre, I've heard both of you guys' interviews on Hypebeast, and I thank you for the inspirations. I can relate, especially to your story, James. So I really appreciate it, guys. My first question is, what are the most common objections that you get from brands when you want to when you want to sell their brand? And what are the ways to overcome those objections, the most common ones, especially for a newcomer?
Let's stop right there. So you're saying the question is, let's start with the first question so we can get sharp on it.
Yes, sir.
I want to repeat it back to you to make sure I heard it right. What are the most common objections that you get from brands when starting?
Yes, sir. And how you overcome them?
The most common objection is, there's someone in your area. Dre, Hutch, Ari, go for it. What do you guys tell people when you tell them no?
I think it's always hard to be first, man. When you first open that door, like, the brands you want are always nervous to be first, right? Okay. When you're brand new. So most guys with the brand or representing the brand or with the gateway, the brand you want, and I'm not talking about the big guys and Nike and Adi, that, those processes, these guys are much better adept to tell you about. But everyone's scared to be first. So you gotta do the due diligence before those doors ever open, and have some things lined up, and be able to hear no and not yet a bunch of times. And you got to open that door with the things that maybe aren't 100% what you want, but what you can get your hands on. Because a lot of times the brands you want out of the gate just don't want to be first. You know, we're in a tumultuous time, and people go out of business and things happen, and it takes a minute to build trust and a relationship with people. And it's difficult to do sometimes before those doors are open.
Can I just say something too? I think with everything going on now, though, there's so many young creatives, more so than we've ever seen, because the internet is so fluid and letting us know what exists out there. We kind of never had that. So I'd go and bother Dre and these guys for brands, and bother the Nike guys and all that. I think I don't even want to say low hanging fruit, because I don't want to do anybody like that, but I think there's opportunities probably right in front of you in your area of just kids that don't have a voice, or they don't have a way to sell their product. That's really a differentiation point for everybody. And instead, everybody wants to chase the same thing. Like, we thought of a brand before and fought to get them, and they don't always pay the bills. You know, sometimes having all these cool brands that you want is really just a strain on your mental health. It's stressful. And there's other guys that are dying to be in your store. So, I mean, I think it's more developing the eye and seeing something that's like, you know, unique, and that'll help you stand out. And then you start to realize you don't need the big guys the way you thought you did. It'll really help you reaffirm who you are, and especially if you want to be community based and all that. There's no better way than to help kids that are up and coming like yourself, because they won't forget it. And God forbid when kids grow up and you're the one that put them on, I mean, there's something magical in that alone. So I think people need to start thinking along those lines instead of just like going after the shiny object.
Yo, let me add on to what Dion just said. I just finished watching the Vogue Global Conversations, and Nordstrom's and Tory Burch, you know, real big guys, they were saying the same exact thing. They need to tap into a younger designer, a younger audience, to drive in new traffic. They've been so reliant on trying to chase the same business model. So I agree with Dion. It's like, if you support your community, especially the way that you're saying that you want to support your community, well, bring them in, usher them in, and let them come in, because they're going to bring a vibe too. You know what I'm saying? And they're going to see that.
Also, one other thing I was just going to say, to piggyback off of where Ari started, you know, usually when when we hear about retailers coming to us and they want a brand, one of the first things is, right, Ari said, we don't want to be the guinea pig. So usually, you know, especially with the brands that we have in our roster, you know, we want to work with somebody that's established at retail. So even if it's at the beginning, you know, it's not the days of, yo, I'm going to open up next week, but they don't have any brands in there. That's not a stable situation, because once we invest in opening the account, we want to make sure this guy's going to be there 6 months from now, a year from now. We're investing in the retailer as well. The other thing that normally comes up is adjacency to other retailers. You know, if we have an account that's 2 doors down, then we may not be able to sell you. Even if sometimes, depending on the brand, if we have another account that's in the city, we won't be able to do business with you. So these are some of the situations that come up. Interesting enough, I had a retailer cold call me on my cell phone the other day. I didn't even recognize the number. And it's a guy that does business with us, with one of our brands. And he proceeded to ask me about one of our brands. And the brand, I'll even say it was BBC, which I always get calls on BBC. And I'm not even the one that manages BBC. I'm not the managing partner of that brand. And, you know, and he was a nice guy. You know, he asked me what he could do. He said he had been listening to podcasts. What can I do to get BBC? I was like, well, what have you done? Have you talked to your rep? He said, yeah, I talked to the rep. You know, he talked to my partner that manages it at a trade show. But before we even got to that point, I said, well, what do you carry in your store? So he started giving me his brand roster. And there was nothing wrong with the brands he had in there. The brands that he had in there were not the kind of brands that normally would be associated with BBC. So also understanding what you're doing with your product mix and what you're bringing to the table before you even go to the brand. Because sometimes, you know, we run into that where, you know, and the guys are nice. A retailer doesn't even know that they don't even have the right brand matrix to even be applying for this brand. So, you know, and I had a very frank conversation with him. I said, look, you don't have the brand matrix that we normally would have in order to get this brand. So I said, but he said he was in the town. He didn't have that many competitors around him. I said, what you really need to spend time doing is if this is what you really want to do, then you need to figure out how to tweak your business and make it something that would be appealing for us to open you based on other brands, but also as Pell had alluded to, it's about finding your niche and what's going to work in your market as far as what you surround it with. But also, you know, there's freedom. Like if you don't have competitors around you, I mean, that's one of the biggest things right there. There's so many issues right now where a guy try to open and he's shot before he can even get started. He won't ever be able to get what he wants from let's say a brand that we have. So, you know, those are some of the challenges, just like the gentleman that spoke earlier about saying that he found a storefront and he wants to go buy a storefront and open a store. Well, there's a lot of boxes you need to check off before you commit to that storefront, if you get what I mean.
Great. Can I add something real quick to that?
Right.
Go for it, Joe.
So shortly, I don't know who was here and who wasn't when we started the stream, but shortly after I saw Dre's earrings, I then proceeded to the 100 at Agenda many, many years ago. They told me no. They were like, kick rocks. I was trying to get a hundreds account for my store. They were like, kick rocks. I really wanted it. That's why I was out there. Frustrating. Worked hard. Came back. Trust and relationships got me the hundreds. It might have been a year later. It might have been 2 years later. I don't remember all that. Point of the story is now I can do anything I want with the hundreds. Those guys are my friends. They trust me. They believe in me. They've done multiple oneness. And then now here we are with BBC. Let's go back to that. So I got BBC. I sell it at both my stores, 2 cities, Louisville, Lexington. There's a store in Louisville. The foundation has been with me for a decade. I've been doing business with them. Dre and Ari and Hutch, they protect me. They make sure that my store has it if the other opposing stores don't have it. We're to the point now, so far ahead in the future, that I let, with Hutch and them all working together, the other store can sell BBC. Because the other store and my store help each other, help the brand, which helps everything. Guys that shop there might not buy the same things. They might buy different things from both stores, but the same thing from both stores. That was off subject, but that's how far we are, man. Like,
so you know, the thing that I want to say to you, bro, is this. People are investing in you as a business owner as much as they are your business, right? The people who invested in me early on and agreed to allow me to sell their brand and represent their brand in my space also invested in me, my work ethic, in the grind that I brought into the business, right? So to Joe's point, who you are and how you connect to the people at the brand is also important as your space. Does that make sense? Because
can you say that last part one more time? Who you are?
How you connect personally to people also is going to be meaningful, right? Because early in business, people are investing in you as an entrepreneur as much as they are your business, right? To Dre's earlier point, they have to trust that you're going to be open 6 months, 12 months, 2 years, 5 years from now, right? Because when businesses are doing projections, especially big businesses, they're projecting 3, 5, 10 years out. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So the most people, to answer your question in short, I think you just got just about everybody on the panel, but to answer your question in short, people, the biggest opposition you're going to get is because you're new. You personally are going to have to be resilient when being told no. You're going to have to be able to take no, and every time you get that no, write this down. This is exactly what you ask when you get no. Why are you telling me no? And how do I get to yes? If you get the answer to that question, listen to this answer. And Hutch is on the phone right now because he used to say it to me all the time back in 2005 and 2006 when I was getting a lot of no's. Ask why, and then follow up 2 weeks later. Do the work. When they tell you why, do the work that's within your power and follow up. Does that make sense? 85% of execution happens on follow-up. Most execution does not happen the first shot. That's storybook shit. In real life, execution happens on follow-up.
Gotcha.
Does
Oh
that make
yeah,
sense?
tell them about Paris, James. When we first started going to Paris to go get all the brands.
The walk of shame. I got told no in different languages.
Every
I
day.
went to Gucci like this, man. They told me get the fuck out of the office, bro. That was 2008.
What is the second part of your question, bro?
My second part of the question is, what are the best practices to gain influence with your community?
Oh, be authentic. The end. Be authentic to who you are. The end. That is the whole answer. There's nothing else. Authenticity and integrity is what everybody on this, everybody who we respect has authenticity and integrity. Without those things in this business, you ain't shit.
It's a long road, though. It's a long road.
And people going to
have a statement that'll answer the last three guys. Dude, how long did it take y'all to make a dime in this business? It took me 4 years to make $1.
I almost spit my
We
water out.
didn't take salaries until year 4. We didn't take salaries until year 4.
The other guy was like, yo, can I take money? No, it took me 4 years.
Yeah, we paid our rent out of the company. We literally paid our rent out of the company.
I want you to tell people, I think that one big thing, the whole reason why we're all here is people just don't know how much it actually takes to make it. 100%. I never thought I would make it, bro. And I don't even know if I made it.
After 2 years.
Oh, I'll give you. I'll say this, and then we'll move on to another question, bro. You ready for this, bro?
Yes, sir.
Making it is something we wake up and do every day. It's a constant. Growing is a constant. The work is a constant. The grind is a constant. This thing that we chose to do is a constant. And the only reason why we still standing is because we wake up and get this thing 1,000% every day. And the day you stop, you're dead. I think I said it 2 weeks ago. It's knuckles to the pavement 100% of the time for me. I'm not trying to get taken out by the old version of me. So if you are the new version of me, you represent the new version of me. That makes sense? So now you got to come with the grit, the drive, and the effort to break through. And the difference is we're here to help you. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, appreciate it, man. Thank y'all so much.
Thank you for investing your time, and we'll see you in 2 weeks, hopefully.
Best of luck.
Yes, sir.
Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Dave, we'll push somebody else in. Push somebody else in. Joe, you're actually right. Joe and Derek, you're actually right, because when you start thinking about whoever said it, the idea of making money is something that people don't even realize. We come into one of the biggest pros for me not having partners is I know a lot of times I'm not going to make no money, and I'm okay with it, because people don't understand it. Sometimes the best years is the years when you just didn't lose money. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but how about this? You started your business and you said, all right, by 18 months, I'll be able to be here. By
Yes.
24, I'll be here. You opened your second store and you're like, by year 2, it'll be. Does any of that ever happen?
No. Projections.
No, right? It's year 10. It's store 3. It never happens. Like you put it on paper.
Like, man, don't get me started with accounting. Like, man, what's up, James?
What's up, James? What's up, all the fellas?
Blessings.
My question was adjacent from not adjacent, but it was aside from the retail questions that's been going down. I'm at the moment, I've been stepping away from what I've been doing as far as everything going on with the corona. Right now I've been focusing on my my art and my furniture designs. And to start an idea, like the idea has been started, like it has legs, but it's more corona based and specific. Now that we're in this space where we, making relationships is it's a little weird, trying to make a meaningful relationship through, the virtuous terms. But now that I'm relying on the art and, creative solutions and consulting for people, would y'all have any any advice for somebody trying to make a meaningful relationship virtually? That's the first question. And if the second ones get
hold on, let me stop you on the first one.
Yeah.
The question you asked was, how can you create a meaningful virtual relationship? Antoine's on the phone, and Antoine's on a call, and I always use him as a barometer for my sanity, because most days when I was starting, he was my therapist to get through my sanity and my insanity, right? Hutch.
I'm here.
Remember when I was trying to get Original Fake? What was that, 08, 09?
I had it.
Shout out to which you had Original Fake. What I attempted to do digitally, because I knew it was trying to break a barrier, and the company was Japanese. I hired a translator, a Japanese translator, to write an email for me and translate an email for me, because I knew I didn't have a shot if I just sent the email in English. They would just ignore it, right? But I knew they would think, or at least look twice when they seen pictures of a store in North Carolina with Black people in an email in Japanese. Does that make sense?
You really started to get Japanese brands when you did what?
Go to Japan.
Thank you.
But his
That's what I was saying. That's what I was saying.
But his question is in a digital atmosphere.
When you send an email, all you're trying to get is a level of engagement.
Yes.
I was at a brand. I used to put in the subject line, "Give me 5 minutes of your time. If you don't like what you hear, you'll never hear from me again." Right? People would be like, "Who is this person sending me like this?" Right? They would respond to that because it was like, "Huh? I got to hear what he's got to say." So digitally, you're just trying to get any level of engagement to move to some sort of in-person meeting. And what I'm going to say is, Corona's not going to last forever. Like, there will be a time where we commence and meet one another again. So like, to build a true, strong relationship, digitally is definitely possible. But to me, you're just trying to get the reaction to hopefully meet in person. You just want to get some level of engagement.
Well, let me say something real quick, James.
Go for it.
James Williams, how old are you, man?
28.
28. All right. So, we have this thing that we talk about, and I speak about it a lot. You got the under 25, and you got the over 25. And I think one of the things that's interesting now, Ari already knows what I'm going to say. One of the things that's interesting now is the way that people under 25 communicate, right? And, we look at generations and how people came up, and you got people that came up in the social media era. And, one of the things that we have seen, and we saw this, we talk about it because when we were in Paris, one of our brands was in the showroom, and all of these kids, and we call them kids because they're younger than us, were all hanging out, and everybody knew each other. But they had literally just met. Half of them had never met in person until that day, but they were all digital friends. So also the other thing about it is, what Ari is saying is correct. In-person meetings are still very impactful, but we do live in a world today where, especially the youth, they've learned how to communicate in this digital format that is, honestly, that's foreign to me. Like, yes, I text, we're digital, we're all a little older, and we know how to communicate, but for some people, this is really the only way they communicate. And it's important to know your audience too. So depending on who you're trying to engage with, you may have somebody that's much more receptive to the digital communication. Like me, I'm open and people hit me up and they DM me. I do my best to respond back. I don't have any problem communicating with people digitally, but then you're gonna have some people that sometimes, as crazy as it is, that's the preferred way of communication for them. And, and once you recognize that, really you got to know your audience. You make adjustments to whoever you're trying to communicate with. But, that phone is a tool, man. Instagram is a tool. Like all these things, it's amazing to think today you can literally reach out and touch anybody from your phone.
What I'm trying to focus, or what I try to bring to the question was that a lot of the stuff that I'm doing is physical. And I understand putting together content in order to basically, one of the things that I'm trying to push right now is my wooden cradle panel canvases that I've been producing. And I've reached out to people via Instagram. I don't have Twitter and Facebook. I just don't care for it. But
to Dre's earlier point, You don't know what
100%.
platform someone's most receptive to. And when you meet someone else, you got to meet them where they are, not where you are. Does that make sense? Because you're going after
100%.
them. They're not coming after you. So
No,
you got
that's
to
true indeed.
all platforms. Go ahead. I'm sorry for cutting you off, James. And Pale. So James finish and then Pale jump in.
All right.
Okay. What I was just going to say was that I understand like putting together the content is kind of demonstrating what the canvases are and how they separate me from another, you know, this Target, not Target, but like Michael's store-bought wooden canvas. And I understand, you know, code DMs or what have you. I just historically, while I've been operating in the space of, I go by the name of Wrong, R-O-N-G, as an artist. And as I've been, you know, studying this over the last 8 years, I've been able to see that my base and my audience are more receptive to pictures of my work. And I understand that that's because of the physical nature of it. I mean, obviously, you can post a video on Twitter or Facebook, but it just seems that I can do a little bit more maneuvering with Instagram. But in this space of where we're in like Corona and everything like that, trying to reach out to people and say, hey, let's do a virtual, I guess a virtual studio visit. You can, you know, I can FaceTime you or what have you. And I can show you some of the things that I have in my studio, see if there's any kindred spirit or you see anything that you know, there can be any synergy between what the brands are trying to do. And I've been seeing that DMs aren't, you know, whether people are seeing them or they are just, they're not receptive to DMs. That's another thing. But I've been seeing it over the last maybe 6 years since I've really been actively DMing people to kind of just see, you know, where can I get a bite as far as what's, you know, what the people are actually receptive to from my studio practice.
Let me chime in real quick.
No, go ahead, Pal. I'm sorry.
So I'm kind of I'm in the same boat as you. Like, I'm a creative. I design, you know, clothing. I also do art. And first of all, let me give a shout out to Scott55. I don't know who you are, but he said we're digital now, and that, you know, we're on this platform for a reason, and this is a great thing. And you have to use the tools that are in front of you. So if you got to DM somebody 365 days, that's what you got to do. That's what Lex Luger did in order for him to get with Waka Flocka. It was nonstop it was nonstop on Twitter, right? Now I see some of your artwork in the back, and you right now you have everybody in the house, everyone. So you better show you working on it.
There, you know.
Yeah, but
I didn't want to make it about that. You know
but the thing is, you have everybody in their homes right now, right? Like, I just started a podcast because I know I got everybody in their homes right now, and I can reach out to all of my friends and I can actually record them. Because you have everybody, we don't know when this is going to be over. This is the most opportune moment. You better get on Facebook. You better get on Twitter. Video is so important right now. You get the most analytics from it, right? So you got to keep on going. But what you're doing is you're getting awareness. People got to be aware before they make a sale. They got to know that you exist. Nobody's going to purchase something if they don't feel comfortable with you. Like they stated before, I have to feel like I know you. And there's, like Frank said, there's a trust level between us.
100%.
And Frank, I sent you the picture.
I was trying to put it as my background, but I couldn't. He drew me fast.
I think there's one thing to add too, and you guys should all hear this at home. We still deal with that too. It's not like I can just pick up the phone and call anybody. Like, there's still times I get iced and put on froze and all that. It happens to me more than I would even like to admit. Even with Concept's name behind me, my own name, my relationships, like, I don't think it ever stops. You know, you keep climbing that ladder and you keep getting met with the same answers. It's kind of like it's repeating itself all over again. So I know in the era it is now, people like, they want everything fast, and they think a DM is like work. It's really, that's the reality. It's a cheat code, but you still got to keep trying and applying. Like, there's no way that just DMing someone 5-6 times is going to be the answer to getting you on.
Right.
You know, it's tough.
I think me and Dion have the similar situation where me and Dion are owners.
Correct. Yo, props to you,
And
Frank.
so, huh?
Props to you.
Nah, props to you too as well. I mean, this is real rap. So me and you don't own the things that we built.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
It's tough, man.
So like, it's
always a free agent though.
That's true.
Yeah,
Kinda.
but what I'm trying to say is like, even with concepts, even with Wish, it's like we like had the same responsibility as an owner, but we weren't.
Well,
so that's something to talk about too.
Well, James, so I'm making sure that we stay to Frank and Dion's point. There's definitely something unique about you guys, though, both because even as two guys that aren't owners, you guys rep the business as
like an owner.
I think the thing that's going to be very repetitive to everybody we talk to today is the fact that hearing no is something you can't get over. Does that make sense? Like,
yeah, I mean, I'm not tripping over the no. It's just that I was looking for just advice on other I guess ways that just like, I mean, persistence is one thing, but you can only do the same thing but so many times and like expect a different outcome. So I'm just trying to be.
My point was just don't give up on that. You have a unique ability to show people something, where some of these other kids that are trying to create a store, they don't have any physical evidence to show them. So I mean, the no's are part of the business, but like just keep knocking. That's all.
How were you getting work to people? You were putting it in the mail and sending it to them. They were opening something and getting something physical, right?
Come again?
Like pre-internet, pre-DM, if you were an artist and you want to get your work in front of somebody, what would you do? You would put it in
it was a different type of like, playground. I guess at that point you would try and make your way into like the gallery, but I'm trying to make, not trying to, no disrespect to the gallery arena, but I just see that there's benefit in building. I found that it was benefit building relationships, and I actually bumped into James, or been introduced to James Whitner before, but it was able to make a good first impression, and have met a lot of the people that made good first impressions. But now that we're in this space, a first impression via virtual, like they don't get a lot of views through like a DM.
As an art collector, as an art collector, right? And this is what my art collector and owner hat on. As an art collector and a business owner, if I'm you, every time I get a no, I'm asking why I get the no, and some of this I'm repeating myself. I'm asking why I get the no, but also for me, if I'm an artist, I'm going to start targeting collectors. Does that make sense? Because right now, most people are showing their collection, and if you're canvassing the art world, no pun intended, to see who's around and who has what, there's a cast of characters that exist. And if you get your work into those guys' hands, then you'll start getting closer to the inner circle. And the closer you get, the closer to yes you get. Does that make sense? So to your point about how to work differently, you have to come up with creative ways to try to get the yes. Here's another recommendation. There's a book that I read. It's literally called Art of Negotiation, Getting the Yes. It's a 154-page book. Read it. DM me if you got questions. But I think 3/4 of a lot of what we're going to talk about today is going to be surround creative ways of getting around no and getting to yes. And outside of persistence, because that's a large part of it. Asking why is a large part of it. But you got to get to creative. You got to get creative about getting to your audience to get to why. So you're not just getting no. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I'm not. It's not that nobody's really saying no. It's just a good impression is made, and then it's a lot of steps in between there in order to close in on the good impression. Like somebody will say,
has to be physical.
Come again.
But you're saying that has to be physical.
You're saying it has to be physical?
No, that's what I'm trying to say. Like knowing what you bring to the table has to be physical.
Yes. Yes.
I understand what you're saying, because right now people trust what Amazon can bring you because they have checked the box of knowing like my shit's gonna arrive when you tell me it's gonna arrive. Or the email is, when you say my email and this shit's downstairs, that's what you know, right? So like, again, how do you provide trust? Because back then, when things were uncertain, it was about trust. When I asked my brother Derek, or I asked Joe, or I asked James, hey man, I need these shoes, it comes to me. You know why? Because it's trust. And that's what's going to make things go in the future. Because now, would you eat at the same places you ate before? Maybe.
So James, James,
Hmm?
James, to round out what Frank is saying around trust, closing in on a process and closing a deal is as important as not getting your first no, right? Because getting you may not be getting no, because what you're saying is you're not getting no, you're just getting a very long no if you're not getting yes. The two are the same, but you have to be realistic. You have to be realistic enough to recognize that a long no, if you don't have action, is still a no. If someone tells me, hey James, if I pitch someone and they tell me that's an amazing idea, I'm going to get back to you, and I don't hear from them in 6 months, that's no. James, does that make sense?
Yeah, everything has made sense, and I appreciate the the feedback. I just was I was trying to flush it out. That's all.
Fall in love with the process.
For sure.
Make sense? Go ahead,
For
Joe.
sure.
For me? All right, I'm the retailer. You're the brand. You're trying to come to me. If Futura and Cause came to me and I dissed them and deleted their email and was like, whatever, I'm the fool.
So what he's saying is believe in yourself and keep doing the work, and understand that as long as you keep your head high and you grind right, don't change your grind, because your talent and your work is the win. Does that make sense? And people are losing when they don't give you a chance. That's
100%.
That's me translating what Joe is saying to you. Keep pushing, and when you make it, don't be shocked, because you could be 2 weeks away from the work behind you on your wall being worth 20,000, 200,000, 2 million. Just keep doing the work.
Or 2 years. James said you could be 2 weeks away. I said or 2 years.
Yeah.
Don't ever give up on your dream. Every single dude in here will hang up on the fact that don't give up, man. That's all it takes, bro. With whatever you're doing, like we can answer every question with that.
100%. James, thank you for the time, bro. And please come back in 2 weeks. Shoot me on social media if you need me, and please keep coming back for the information. That's what the platform is for, bro.
For sure. I appreciate it, fellas.
All right, thank you.
Good luck to you, man.
Who we got next, Dave?
Hello.
Patrick.
How are you?
Hey, how y'all doing?
How you doing, bro?
Doing good. Patrick Jones, from Charlotte, North Carolina, senior at Morehouse College.
Yeah, your face looks familiar.
How y'all doing? Everybody's good? I'll get straight to it. Well, I've been having a social brand for the past like 5 years, just kind of making responses out of situations that I've been kind of like experiencing, such as like police brutality, stuff like that. I have a website I've been working on for a minute as well.
Yeah.
But my thing is, how can you get straight to resources? I'm someone who always has constant ideas. I have ideas of just about like collections or stuff I just want to put out immediately, things I just want to work on. But I feel like just someone like me who's I'm in for school for political science, but my focus is not really political science. I'm just really just always looking at the latest and greatest collections that's coming out from Sakai, or looking at what's going on in Paris Fashion Week. And at this point, I'm just like, man, school is about to be done. I need resources. I want to learn. I want experience. I just want to kind of get my hands dirty, because I know that this is like my sort of passion. So I'm trying to see from great men like you guys who own great storefronts and have great brands in your shops, what would you recommend someone starting at, like, trying to get great experience and great knowledge to start?
You're in Charlotte. That's a loaded question. We'll see you at Be Social or here or here. You're close enough. We're close enough to take accountability for you and where you trying to go, and that's what we're looking for. So we're here to help you and support you. The reason that we exist as a platform is for people exactly like you. So, Dave, you want to shoot them the email? This is the easy one, bro. You can hit us on the side.
Okay.
We here to help you creatively. We got space. We got opportunity. We're a platform and a resource for you. You're the easiest question all night, bro.
Okay, cool. I appreciate that. I appreciate the time too.
I'm on all the emails. Our team will respond. Obviously, we're all down for quarantine, so the physical space is open. But we're still communicating and figuring out what we're doing, what we're planning and strategizing. So please shoot us an email and we'll connect with you.
Absolutely. Hey, I appreciate the time. Thank y'all.
No love. Go ahead, Dave. Push to someone else.
Hello.
How are you, bro? What's your name?
Pretty good, pretty good. My name is Mac. I'm from Jacksonville.
What's up with
Mac? I'm 16. I'm like a video director. That's actually how I found out about you guys. Was I did a music video in your store.
That's dope.
But I have 2 questions for you guys. The first question is, how do you build your brand and stay relevant during like COVID-19 or in general? And the second one is, how do you land like a high profile partner such as like Nike or like Bape to be in your store?
It's Dion.
Wait, I was just gonna say, you remember how you got Bape?
Dion, go for it.
Yeah, I'll tell you. No, I mean it's a good story. I'll be quick about it because I know we're pressed for time. Someone like James, who had a great store already, he had a lot of brands, and obviously he had the drive and motivation. He had probably been in business for quite some time, I think, at this point. And he was like, "Yo, I want to get Bape." And I'm like, "Man, it's a little difficult because you know, they like to do it face to face. I can enter you in an email, but he's like, I did that, you know, kind of getting the runaround. And I'll never forget, we were in Portland actually.
PDX.
I'll leave that part out. We had a good time out there. We were at the airport the next day. I wanted to get home. We had been in Portland for probably 4 days, and we had this conversation the day prior. And I'll never forget, we were eating lunch, me, him, and Derek, and I literally just wanted to get home. There's nothing I would have did in the world to stay out, do anything. And James was like, all right, I'm gonna see y'all later. And we're like, oh, you leaving already? You know, we'll take care of lunch, whatever. And man, he hopped on a plane and went straight to Japan. And I was just like, yo, what? Like, you're going to Japan right now? And me and Derek looked like we saw a ghost. And he was like, yeah, you said do it. I'm not, I guess what I'm saying is people have high aspirations of doing things. In our business, I don't think anybody's really talked about it yet, is believing in yourself, of course, but taking chances. Everybody
Number one.
took in a major risk. If it's taking out a second loan, neglecting your family, you know, having 17 credit cards, like I don't think anybody understands the process. So what you're asking, great questions, but there's a lot of steps in between. But what I will say is there'll be opportunities as things develop and you become more confident in who you are and you develop a persona, or I think you said you're in directing?
Yes, sir.
Correct. So you're going to develop relationships probably a little quicker than some of the people on this chat. But I will say this, there's going to be these opportunities that come to you and you're going to have a gut feeling like to go for it, even if you feel like it's the most wrong thing you could do. And I know for me, I took it and it worked. I know several of these guys did the same. I've had other gut feelings where I'm like, don't do it. Your gut is a lot. It's the only business acumen you have that you're born with, and people are going to tell you differently. But I say when those opportunities come, be ready for it, because that's something we probably haven't addressed here at all. and it's a scary fucking feeling, man. That's probably the hardest thing of it all.
Very true.
I'll echo what he said, and it's funny because I didn't think he was going to say that story at the time, but it's something we talked about last week. You got to have willingness to go for it, man. To get more luxury brands or more sought after brands. They're like the pretty girl in high school that everybody wants to date. So you got to come up with new creative ways to get their attention. And once you get their attention, never give it up. Always say all the time, all I need to do is get my 15 minutes of fame once. then my 15 minutes ain't gonna never be over. Does that make sense? So you got to work to get your 15, and once you get it, don't ever give it away. Did we answer the question? I think we answered the second first. What was the first again?
The second one was like, how did you guys like build your brand, kind of like how like to be what it is like today, if that makes sense. Like that's kind of wording better.
I can help you. I can answer better than anybody here. And it's nothing to do with experience.
Go ahead,
If you know who Ralph Lauren is,
yes, yeah, of course.
Go watch his documentary. It'll. There's nothing we could say that'll teach you better than that. That's a man that believed in the dream and never swayed from it in one way, shape, or form at all. Even with ad agencies and all that, man, it opened my mind. So I'll cut the story short there. Just watch that movie and it will change your view on a lot of things.
And to echo what he just said, books are your friend, documentaries are your friend, autobiographies are your friend. There's people who've been on journeys throughout their whole life, and information is free. And in this digital age, it's very easy to obtain. Look at the people who've come before us. You don't need to reinvent the wheel. It's a wheel. Does that make sense?
Somebody said Tiger King.
I saw that, Tiger King. Watch that too. I think it's called Barry Ralph.
Thank you.
HBO, and it's probably free right now because everything is.
Everything's free.
Thank you, bro. Thank you for investing your time.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you for coming in and working with us in Jacksonville, bro.
No problem. Anytime.
How you doing, bro?
Yo, man, what's going on?
How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. I was actually in like the last chat like 2 weeks ago. So I'm from Detroit, Michigan. Right now, I'm currently in Orlando. When I got down here, I came down for school, so I worked in like trophy room and stuff like that to kind of gain a little bit of experience.
Remember you.
But, I'm kind of get straight to the point. My question is, so if you take out like Nike, Adidas, just like the brands in general, like last week you gave me some advice about like, you know what, if I don't have my own team, then I should create my own team or find a team that like invests in me. But my question for you guys is just like, what exactly makes your store when you remove all of those brands? So like, what is it that you sold? What's the vision? What's the dream that you sold in order to like sustain? Because say, for instance, like those brands leave. I mean, I know that's a big part of the business now. I'm saying, say, for instance, like if those brands were to cease to exist, what is it that you would sell? What is it that you will hold that would keep people coming in?
Whatever's coming in, it's hot.
No, that's a bullshit answer.
Yeah.
No,
I'll answer it if you want me to.
No, I'm asking like, what is it that you're creating that's going to keep people coming in?
No,
community. Community.
Yeah, sell what's legit to your community.
So when you go to Kentucky, has anybody in here been to Kentucky? Joe is holding down in Kentucky. When I go to Boston, Dion is holding that down. When I go to New Orleans or whenever I go to Louisiana, holding it down, Derek.
What they're saying to you is that we're all masters of holding down our communities and repping the cities and the people that we're around. Does that make sense? You selling yourself, man. You're selling yourself in no different than writing a paragraph. When you write a paragraph, there's a subject and a theme and a thesis that it's about, right?
Right.
And that's the same thing as your store or your retail banner, right? It has to stand for something. Those brands are partnering with you. Every retail brand that you name to start, they all got vertical retail. And they're all stripping away any retailers who don't bring value to them. Does that make you, with no disrespect to any, with no disrespect to my brand partners, this is a partnership. For me and what we do, it's about us partnering with our brand partners. They understand what's important for them, but they got to also understand what's important for us. And for us, it's about community, experience, and people. Does that make sense? And if you strip out all the brands, all the guys that do it well have some derivative of that. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Does that answer?
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I was just trying to figure out what is it that kind of, like I said, like what makes you at the core. And I feel like you guys answer.
Community.
Yeah, community.
Well,
can I add to that?
Go for it.
what it is so they asked me to open a store in Chicago. They told me to open a store in New York. I'm the South. I'm Texas, I'm Louisiana, and that's me. So if I would open a store in any other city in America, I would look stupid.
Let me paraphrase real quick. In short, what I feel everybody's saying is they have their own brand first. They've developed their own brand. Want to give a shout out to Roswell Dean. Mentioned a really good book called Primal Branding. I actually read it. Just like the Ralph Lauren documentary, everyone should read that book so you understand what it is to build a brand.
Very
There's been a lot of questions about like, how do I get Nike and how do I get Adidas and like, how does that help me open my stores? And correct me if I'm wrong, fellas, no one up here that's a retailer, Joe, Dion, James, Derek, Frank, set out to do what they do on the back of Nike or on the back of Adidas. I'm pretty sure all of them opened without it.
No question.
I'm just saying that they all built what they built and engineered their store to meet the needs of their brand and their community. And when they created their moments, the brands that they maybe had wanted at the start started to come to them, and they were able to have a different type of
100%.
narrative. So everyone keeps asking, like, how do I get Fear of God, or how do I get Nike? Or that's the wrong mentality.
Wrong.
100%.
The mentality should be like, what am I doing? Why am I doing it? If I do it, some of the things I want will come around me. If your ideation is I need Nike to open, I need Adidas to open, I need Reebok to open, you already lost.
100%.
They got Foot Locker for that.
Some of these comments, some of these comments, be true to yourself is 100% comment. And to Derek's point, I don't completely agree with Derek, because for me, any market that I think has a community that I feel like I can personally connect to, it's a city that I feel like I could be in, or a market I feel like I can be in. So for me and our team, it's always about community and personal connection, but it's the same thing that Frank said. I appreciate you coming out for the second week,
cool.
and I appreciate the investment of your time, bro.
Yeah, man, I appreciate you too, man. All right, man, you guys have a good one.
Love to you, man.
So
TJ!
TJ, our next question?
The camera, babe.
I have a brand question for you guys, since you all have seen brands come and go. You've been in the business forever. So what does it take for a brand to have longevity in the business and not plateau, to keep relevant? And then who's doing that right now in this space?
Consumer connection, integrity, brands that are doing it in the space right now. Oh goodness, I'm not about to take the cheap shot or the cheap layup. It's not a shot. The cheap layup. BBC, Bape, all the Japanese brands have more staying power than any other brands from any other region in the world. And I think those brands focus on. Go ahead, Ari, Hutch.
I'm riding on what you're saying. Like I'm just throwing one out there. Stussy is another one.
Stussy's
Rocket is one.
When you start, but when we talk about longevity, let's talk about.
Stussy's a great one.
Let's talk about 5 to 10 plus years. And Stussy's seen as downs too. Let's not pretend, right?
100%.
100%.
But like the Japanese guys, they stick to their guns. So they have their ebbs and flows, their ups and downs, but they don't they don't chase distribution on their downturn.
So Ari, you talk about Stussy. Suriyama t-shirts that were $36. How much would they be worth now?
A lot.
So Tara, to answer your question, I think it goes 3 things. I think for me, it's about consumer connection always, integrity always, and sticking to your guns. And I think the neighborhoods of the world, the WTAPs of the world, the Bapes of the world, which even Bape had his downturn end of the Nego reign. The Human Maids lately, the BBCs, Stussy, those are guys that's been around forever, and I think all 3 of those brands possess those traits.
But also one other thing, it's just like anything else. We're talking about lifestyle brands, but one of the things that I said before, as soon as you're irrelevant, you're out of business. So also you have to evolve. So even if brands are staying true to themselves, we could bring Bape up, for example, and a lot of the Japanese brands, when it was so taboo to sell online. Now the game has changed. So there's also there's also other aspects of a brand. Like, yes, brands must be true to themselves, but also they must evolve. Everybody has to evolve.
Yes.
And that doesn't mean that you sell yourself out or the reality is some brands actually have to pivot. And that's the way that they survive. And it's just the reality. And it's interesting. So it's like, yes, in one lens, you could say a brand must stay true to itself. And we have plenty of examples of that. And then we also have some brands, if they wouldn't have made that pivot, they wouldn't even be here.
Sure. Agreed. Did we answer your question?
Yeah, I think so. I just want to thank y'all for always driving the culture.
DJ!
You guys did it, and you're so resilient, and I love y'all. So thank you.
Back.
Kara.
TJ is one of my favorite artists out there. Y'all go look at her Instagram.
Tara, it's crazy we had to see you through this platform, but it was good seeing you.
Bye-bye, TJ.
Bye.
Yesterday.
All right.
Hey, what's going on?
How you doing? What's your name?
I'm pretty good. My name is Quab, also known as the Size 15 King on social media. Dion, you may know, I used to work for Marshalls. My background is in sales analytics, so far as in sales. What I'm transitioning into now is basically taking what I learned from Marshalls and TJ Maxx and applying it to my side business. So
That's fire.
I'm a firm believer in multiple streams of income. I have a regular 9-to-5, but my passion is shoes. So what I've done is I am focused on buying closeouts. So my main question is how I have an avenue where I get my stuff from now. And it's not as plentiful as my business needs require. So I'm trying to find other avenues to find closeouts to fund my business or to grow my business. So being that you guys have either have your own stores or may work with stores or may work with brands, do you guys have any insight that you may be able to give me to help grow my business?
Joe, you want to talk about this?
Yes, 100%. You can't be scared of no topics. The one thing that's not taboo in retail is closeouts, right? It happens in every business.
Of course.
The one thing that is taboo in business is transshipping, right? So you have to, my advice for you would be to establish yourself as a true off-price business, right? And off-price business means you work directly back with brands. You work directly back with brands. Now, that's one part of it, right? The other part of it is all retail has closeouts, right? As a company, we've decided to do our closeouts through one annual warehouse sale. Does that make sense? Because by the time we get there, all those goods are 6 to 8 months old and dated, and we're ready to move them at 70% off. That's our version of working with guys like you who do clothes.
I'm looking for other avenues. Without giving away too much of my secret sauce, I buy from all over the world. My main focus are people who are like me who have large feet.
The advice that I would give you is that if the short point of your business is selling to people with bigger shoes and off price and buying closeouts, lock in on the places where you can get those things from. Obviously, formalize your business, and understand how all the key all the key retailers across the country handle their closeouts, and figure out how all the key brands around the world formalize their closeouts and built the brand of your business, and make sure that everyone understands your narrative. Does that make sense?
It does. A lot of my sources come from smaller retailers where I built that relationship and I'm able to buy in bulk and get their closeouts. Right now, I can't go anywhere to do anything. And there's very little that I can do in terms of phone calls and emails because nobody's in the store. They're not able to tell me, hey, we have this, we have that. We can't do this, we can't do that. So I'm just trying to figure out what my game plan would be in a post-COVID-19 world.
If I was you in your world, right? And I think based on where we are economically, most retail stores around the world have been closed for the last 60 days. Once they open, if you're positioned to buy, everyone who doesn't have a strong balance sheet will be on sale. So you'll have paradise in about 30 to 45 days. Just prepare for it.
Yeah, I'm preparing now. A lot of I'm getting a lot of working capital in now. People think that since stores aren't open, sales aren't being made. I'm actually flush right now, so I'm doing very well so far as just basically selling online direct to consumer. So that's what I'm waiting for the doors to open back up and I'm able to go back outside.
Thank you for taking the time and supporting our platform, bro.
Good to see you, Ken.
Appreciate it. What's good, Dion?
What's up? My name's Wave Beast. I live in Pittsburgh, but I'm back and forth between Pittsburgh and Atlanta. I'm a photographer, director, videographer, all that. So my question is, what do you guys look for in? Well, how do you guys find like young creatives to work with? Because I'm planning on dropping out of school. School really hasn't been it for me, and I'm really just trying to get my foot into like working with big stores like you guys.
You're looking at dropping out of what kind of school? High school or college?
Oh, college. Currently I'm in Clark, Atlanta.
This is the first thing let me say to you, bro. What year are you?
Sophomore.
School is about a lot more than information.
Absolutely.
And I've realized that. Like, I should be a junior going into a senior, but some things happen, like going into school and then just classes and stuff. Like, I realized school is really more about connections and what you do with it. But within my 3 years of being here, being at Clark, it's not really beneficial for me.
It's about the experience. Yeah. It's about the experience. Kenny Burns, you name it. Anybody who ever know about Clark Atlanta University, Jeezy, everybody came through. The AUC is the mecca of Atlanta. So that's where I learned everything.
So let me take what he's saying to you. So you said a couple things. The first thing was you were thinking about dropping out from school. So listen, personal choices are personal choices. But what I would tell you is what you can gain from completing your education sometimes is just completing, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you don't have an opportunity right now that's income generating or will be income generating in the very foreseeable future, why not leverage the time to work on your business and get your education? You only get one time in your work, one time in your you can go to school anytime in your life. But this, how old are you?
I'm 21.
You're 21 years old. If you're thinking about dropping out of school, maybe think twice, right? Because ultimately your education is meaningful. The second part of your question was what?
Like, how do you guys? How is me as a photographer, videographer reach out to you guys in stores like you to do like campaigns and stuff like that?
The first thing I would say is finish your goddamn degree. The second part is you in Atlanta, I'm in Atlanta. You can hit us up. We got studios in Atlanta to work. Please hit us on the side, bro.
I'm gonna ask you one thing, my bro. Are you good?
Yeah, I've shot for. I've been on the YSL Instagram page. I shot. I don't know if you guys seen it, but the picture of Playboy Cardi and Gunner Stall that went viral. I shot that.
Gunner doesn't have a college degree, and I know Gunner because he was a kid when he came through my store.
Bro,
hit up Rick Dust on Instagram.
Hey, Dave,
can I ask one thing? Are you maximizing your opportunities on campus? Like, I mean, there's got to be opportunities to shoot and hone your craft there, and those are going to be up and coming people at some point. So the relationship building is touchable.
Yeah, like all the upcoming creatives on campus, I do know. Like all the big hitters on campus, I do know. I do work with and do have relationships with.
Because school is funny. Someone you don't really care for or know much about, they could go on to be the next, Bill Gates or whatnot. So networking is a huge thing at school. I never went, but I wish I did.
Listen,
that's why I don't own my own store.
Tons of successful people never finished or graduated college, and I doubt you'll find one of them that says that they wish they didn't.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like,
I have a GED.
Right, like Joe has a GED. Dion didn't go to college. My business partner Daniel didn't go to college. Fucking Bill Gates didn't go to college. But like, we're talking about reading books and watching documentaries. That's all education. Like, what school is there to do is teach you how to learn. Mm-hmm. You're not necessarily supposed to learn shit at school, except how to learn. Mm-hmm. And like, no one is worse off for finishing their degree. And Dion's point was incredible. The opportunities that exist on campus at Clark and in the surrounding city for creative are endless. Much better to sharpen your skill set when you don't have a rent check and you don't have all the other life responsibilities around you, and you could be submerged with a bunch of other kids that are just trying to do the same things you are without the pressures of the reality of an electric bill. So whether it seems meaningful now or not is somewhat irrelevant, because you might not realize it till you're 30, what you learned when you were 21 sitting in some random statistics class and how it impacts you. So it has nothing to do with the knowledge you're gaining today. It's just showing you life skills on communication and how to absorb information.
Plus, you can get your heart broke there and get that out the way, man. That you
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
want to come later in life.
Yeah. Hey Jay, you mind if I go at it for a little bit?
Yes, please.
Yeah. So appreciate your question, bro. I'm somebody who started out in a similar position to you. I graduated school with. I went to corporate America for a little bit and realized it wasn't what I wanted to do, and I wanted to take on. I picked up photography in college, and had a very similar vision in terms of shooting with brands. And my first opportunity with the Whitaker Group was actually on the e-commerce side. But one of the kind of more tangible, tactical pieces of advice that I would give you is to start building your portfolio for the work that you want, and not for what you're getting right now. Like, the viral stuff is cool. It's cool to be able to, you're in Atlanta, you're around a lot of cool people, you're shooting a lot of stuff can go viral and things like that. But, when it comes down to it, if somebody was to drop you a 10K budget, would you be able to put together an effective shoot and still be able to, eat off of that for yourself as well? And those are the skills that you could be learning during this time without having the overhead to what Ari's talking about. So I would be assisting other photographers and getting on shoots. I would be figuring out what does it look like to hire and work with and building relationships with stylists. I would be figuring out what it looks like to build and run a set as a fashion photographer, which is a specific skill set. I would be mastering things like masterclass and taking on different opportunities like that. The people who you see shooting campaigns on Hypebeast or on these different blogs, I would be following them, looking at their portfolio, seeing how they're structuring things, so that when you get to present yourself in front of the brands for an opportunity, or you have your own portfolio that you've built on your own, just working with different showrooms and things like that, you kind of have a proven track record worth of work. So for me, I was able to pivot into this space because I started doing work with like random marketing firms that needed lifestyle shots that wasn't necessarily this type of product, but it had the same feel and it had the same crossover. So when I went to present myself and apply for a role, even though it was in e-commerce, they saw the balance in my portfolio and the ability to do both. And that was my foot in the door. So I would look at everything that has to do with visuals with the industry that we exist in. And then from there, start to build out your portfolio and be proficient in each of those things and figure out what it looks like to run a set and run a studio that as if it was your own. And then you'll be able to leverage into different opportunities as it relates to creativity with different boutique partners and different brand partners and things like that. So I think to add to what Ari's saying about using the time wisely, use the time wisely while you don't have the overhead to be able to put the system and structure in place for you to be able to enter this environment and be extremely productive, because there is no learning. There's a very little learning curve. The only learning curve you're going to get is figuring out the aesthetic for the brand, but you need to be proficient within the first week. There's no real learning on the job as it relates to, the technical aspects of photography. We expect you to come in and be proficient in all of those things, whether studio lighting, natural lighting, editing in multiple softwares, editing across different platforms, and being able to get it done as quickly as possible so that you can move on to the next project, because it becomes about keeping the aesthetic in line, but also keeping the timetables down, because you're going to be cranking out a lot of high volume, high quality content. So I'll be figuring out how you can get your skill set together to be able to fit into that type of fast-paced agency style environment, because it's a lot different than working by yourself and working with friends and just being able to create when you feel like it.
Ooh, body right there.
It's a lot. Spike the ball.
That's why you go to college, because I couldn't have said any of that shit. That's why you should go.
So
Dave,
Dave, can you send him our contact information? Because he's in our realm. He's in both of our cities. We could grab him.
Already done, bro. Already done.
Nah, man, come to Boston, man. They got enough going on up there. As soon as you say you need to be up here.
That's funny, because as I got family in Boston, I used to go to Boston time in the summer.
You joined.
See, that's street smarts. That's called a jack move right there.
They don't teach you that in college.
Nah, they definitely don't. Sorry, James. He's mine.
Bro, did we answer your question? And does everything Dave said make a lot of sense to you? And we don't mean to hijack your decision, but listen, man, one thing you'll never get back is education. And the one thing I didn't have when I was 21 was the foresight to understand what I would need when I was 40. and being fully taken back about my 21-year-old self. If you can get that education, man, and be as talented as you are and still be able to execute to Dave's point, do it, and we'll help you. So you got our information. Please reach out to us.
Will do. Thank you.
All right,
Thank you, man.
How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
It's good. We've had you're the second female we had. The first one we knew, so that was kind of a plan.
Yeah, I went to her IG. Her artwork she's super talented.
Very dope.
Super talented.
Tara's super dope. We've known her forever.
But
your name is Jalissa?
Yeah, my name is Jaleesa. I'm from NC, Greensboro. I graduated from A&T. I go to High Point University now. But I wanted to get you all's thoughts on, I guess, like where manufacturing for brands will be going since like coronavirus, because my theory is, okay, if a lot of these foreign countries are like shut down, everyone's touching the clothing, like what happens then? Like, where do you get your fabric from? And I wanted advice on, I guess, like getting into home decor, but for streetwear, more of like that arena.
Go on, I can answer that one.
Go ahead, Dre.
Go ahead, Dre.
On the production one. Basically, apparel production, I mean, basically the world is gonna become whatever the new normal is. So since there's a lot of production that's done in China, most of the factories in China are back to almost 100% capacity at this point. So a majority of the fabric in the world comes from China, especially the synthetic fabrics. Pretty much, they said 60% of everything that's produced in the world starts in China, whether it's labels or all the manufacturing. So really, when this started and China shut down, it really shut down manufacturing all over the world, because most of the other countries that were doing manufacturing, they couldn't even get their trims and labels because most of that was coming from China. But once China got back on track, now Chinese production is back up and running. So it hasn't really, the hiccup already occurred, but the production is running again there. Now, as far as it affects other countries in the world and other regions, you're seeing a big slowdown right now in the Middle East. So the production that's come out of Bangladesh, India, Pakistan, it's highly affected right now because a lot of the factories over there are shut down. They've been posting stories about Poshmark and all of the fast retailers like Zara, H&M, canceling a lot of their orders. Well, most of the production for those brands come from that region of the world. So when those cancellations started happening, those countries don't have the same social system as we do here. So, a lot of people didn't have their jobs. They can't go and file for unemployment. But at the same time, because of some of those countries, like let's say Bangladesh is considered a developing nation, right? So, they don't have the same social infrastructure that you have in other countries. So that region is shut down. So brands that are doing production over there, like one of our brands, Kappa, we do some production over in Bangladesh for fleece and t-shirts. We're catching some delays right now. But when it's all said and done, Corona is going to come and pass. Obviously, it may still exist in the world after this, but manufacturing is not going to stop. Everything will be fine moving forward. So, you don't really have to worry about that part. I hope, did that answer your question?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it sort of did, but I guess, like, do you think people will feel like it would be safe, like, to get clothing until, like, everything kind of dies down?
Why don't we ask the retailers, like James and Derek and Dion and Joe, are you guys shipping goods through your web store right now?
Yes.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
In some ways more so than you were before Corona? Like, are the numbers better?
Well, I think yes, for sure, but it's also about having the infrastructure to do it the right way toward
No doubt. My point is that the dudes on the other end, they don't know if in your warehouse, which I'm sure they are, they're gloved and masked up.
Yeah.
They don't know who's in the store and who sneezed on that hoodie prior to getting put in the box. So I think some of this is just, we're in the midst of the pandemic and everyone's, super sensitive to it. But the more information we gather and the more we listen to scientists and whatnot, like living on clothing and things like that, becomes less and less possible. So I think manufacturing eventually catches back up. And in the interim, there are resources locally that a lot of people could take advantage of to get things.
Yeah.
done.
I think too for us, we've also, I kind of offer your question. We've looked into like sourcing in US too, so we don't ever run into this issue again where we're dependent upon overseas, because it put us all in a tough spot. Brand wise, in-house brands, you know, you name it, cancellations, money we thought we had, you know, quarters not being met and things like that. So for us, we're definitely looking at things a little closer to home, so we have a better grasp on it should they happen again, because who knows.
Thanks.
Jaleesa, did we accurately answer everything? Do you think?
Yeah, like I get what you all are saying. And then I realize at the same time, it's just like a waiting game too, because everything is like up in the air.
Yeah,
anybody knows it's Ari. He knows when this will be over. Someone call you Fauci on there.
Don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
The only thing you can do is invest in yourself. If you have something that you're working on, just double down on shoring it up, and when the time is right, you'll know it and then move forward.
Right. Okay.
There's a lot of opportunity in what we're dealing with.
Huge.
You just have to find it.
Right. Big facts.
Yeah, way
also to my second question, like, because I really want to get into like home decor and like home products for that streetwear crowd. What advice could you give me for that? Because I've made like some random forks, but I just really haven't put it out. Right.
Joe buys home decor all the time.
I bought a bunch of the Futura stuff yesterday.
Yeah.
I've furnished my whole backyard since we've been back from Corona, because that's where I'm spending my time.
I think everybody's now shifting to, because we're all in our homes, and for Americans, home is their number one asset, right? Everybody's going to invest more into the space, and obviously that space is important in streetwear. We obviously do year living, which may not be obvious to everyone, but we do year living, which is a boutique hotel concept. It's basically luxury Airbnb through our platform. So we're constantly looking at different things. And once again, you're in our backyard. So Dave, if you want to send your email over, we'll spend time talking to you and potentially invite you into Be Social and get through a workshop and maybe take a look at what you're doing and see how it can work with what we're doing.
Yeah, so I would love to do that. I'm about to graduate. I'm in, okay, I just got the email. Yeah, I'm in a master's program for business, and I really want to apply that to like that arena. Like I feel weird sitting in my classes because like a lot of them are like C-suite or like, you know, finance or real estate, and like that's cool too. Like that's great. We need that, but this is where I want to apply that knowledge.
No, there's opportunities for us to potentially partner together with you as a brand and us through our platform with Year Living and Home Goods around retail. So we would love to work with you at Be Social, or even if you're looking for opportunities just to work with our team. We're looking for talented people all the time, and you're in our neck of the woods, so please give us a shout.
Okay, I surely will. And thank y'all for the advice and for putting this on. I really enjoyed it. So
We appreciate you also.
No doubt. We appreciate you. Have a good evening.
All right, y'all too.
Yeah, good luck to you.
Thank you. I think we got somebody. What's your name? How are you?
What's going on, man? My name is Malik. I'm from Chicago.
How you doing, Malik?
I'm chilling, man. I really appreciate you, James. You definitely are one of my idols, and I appreciate you for putting this together. This is, soaking it up, man. I'm just soaking it up. But I mean, I've been listing out a topic of questions. I'm actually a alumni of Florida State. James has a store location in my city, or my second home, if you want to call it that. And it was just weird when that store first opened up. APB, I'm talking about in Tallahassee, Florida. When that store first opened up, it was weird because I took it like, damn, like he got to it first. I missed the opportunity, and then it kind of took me a second to really just focus and be like, man, you know what? If James is doing this, like it's clearly an opportunity there, and I just gotta refocus and just kind of knock what I had off the board and come with some new shit.
Yes.
So I think my question to you altogether is like, what was the actual first step that you guys took? So for you, Flavor Factory, with Joe out in Kentucky, with Dion. I mean, with my man down in New Orleans with sneaker politics. Like,
Hey, we don't look alike.
look, what was you guys' actual first step with like with the business? Whether it be like start getting an LLC or, you know, I know things are different now, but just like, you know, what was it then?
Well, let's first talk business structure. First, own your mark. If you got a mark and you're sharp on your brand mark. Me and Ari talked about this the other day. Was it me and you and Ari when we talked about owning your trademarks, making sure you own your trademarks, make sure you own.
Every business we all do. The first thing we try to do is secure the mark.
Yeah, you got to secure your mark because a lot of think with Virgil and Pyrex Vision Wear. Everyone loved it, but then they got to cease and desist, and it was over. Does that make sense?
Virgil sold Off-White now, but he still owns his name.
Definitely.
Yes, 100%. So for us, from a legal perspective, you want to make sure you lock down. You want to make sure you lock down all of your legal. Make sure you got a working company. You got articles of incorporation. You got all of your marks locked in, because that's the best way to make sure you're not building a house on a foundation that's going to eventually crumble or sink on you, right?
Gotcha.
Derek.
So I mean,
now Derek Dion can, but also Eric just said something to me via text about the retail landscape shrinking. But before we get into that, Joe, Derek, Dion, go for it. Y'all can take it on starting.
Do you know Vic Lloyd?
Vic Lloyd, of course, man. I'm Chicago leaders. All them boys, they literally hate me. I'm in there all the time.
Malik, then you are on your way. We create something that we can't explain, brother. You know what I'm saying? People come out with good energy. People come out of working hard. I went to work every day. I had no idea what I was doing. I was probably losing more money than I was gaining for many years. Eventually, some things worked out for me. I always had one goal, one intention. I had to get people around me to help. Some cost money, some were free for months, for years. You know, eventually it all worked out. Then we put in business practices, accountants, CFO, things that made all the business stuff work. That's my advice, man. I'm like off the beaten path. I'm the weird guy here. Like, the reason I'm here is to tell you, like, if you don't give up with whatever you're working, it'll work. It'll like show up one day and it'll smack you in the face, and you're doing it. You're him. So
no, I definitely feel you for that. I mean, persistence, I think, is definitely key. Just like my weird predicament I'm in right now is like, I kind of took the corporate route. So it's like I went to college, like I said, and I'm like working in marketing.
James said earlier he wishes he did that and had that mind frame towards 40-year-old James. You know, I wish I went to school and all that stuff, and you know, I have to hire guys to do that type of thing now. You know, if I knew it, I could save more money.
What the issue that I think I'm running into is like I love Vic, I love you know, Fat Tiger, that whole crew, all them boys. But my issue is like, I think coming from the corporate world, I feel like I'm looked at as an outsider because I'm a Chicago transplant. I'm actually originally from Connecticut, so I have like, you know, different kind of background, and then I just feel like it's kind of like an insiders club where it's like if you actually like read into the history of Chicago, like Vic Lloyd and them boys started with like Tony Sports and all the, you know what I'm saying? Like, so I've gotten to learn the inner workings of all that, but I'm just trying to figure out like my in, I think, in the market. Like I know all of them, but it's just like getting to know them on like a business level, I guess.
Eric has something. Go for it, Eric.
Yeah. I mean, I think regardless if you go corporate environment to retail or vice versa, I went to retail to corporate and it's still different, right? It's all, regardless of what environment you go into, you're always going to have to learn to, you know, work with different people, speak to them in a different way. It's basically like learning a new language, but that's always, or even just going to another city. I know the guys talked about open up stores in different states and things like that. You got to learn another language, right? It's the same thing to be authentic and everything else that the guys have said. So it's never going to be easy, but I think it's more of, you know, having the willingness to kind of get in, do your homework. I mean, when I had a chance to open up stores, I think we did like 12 states with Villa. I remember going in Chicago, and I'll give you an example. There were all these there's two things. One, you got to know what colors are right and wrong, right? There was one thing. But also, we used to sell a shit ton of hats back in the day when hats were the thing. And I was always wondering, why couldn't we sell hats in Chicago? Well, and it took like a year to kind of figure out and get in there. It's because everybody had dreads and nobody wore hats. So it's like little things like that, nuances as you go into each city, that you have to kind of figure out where they're going corporate to retail or retail to, or vice versa. It doesn't really matter. You just got to do your homework and be authentic, and it takes time.
Appreciate that.
Like also, I think like you have inroads with some guys that you know and respect, and those guys respond to the public, like Vic specifically. That's what they're all about. So I'm hearing you saying a lot of reasons why you can't penetrate a space. Like, I'm not really from Chicago. I have a corporate background. Like, same things. James's first job wasn't owning his own store. Derek worked for a corporate chain. Dion's first job was not Concepts. Joe did something else before. One is I worked corporately for my first 4 years in his business. I worked for Ralph Lauren, and like then we, as an agency, we consulted for Under Armour, like quite possibly the IBM of the athletic space in terms of corporate culture. So you're you, right? Like you can be you can change how you want to be. You can put on the personality you need to put on depending on who's in front of you, right? You're a chameleon. That's what like any successful entrepreneur needs to be. So if you have these guys' contacts, reach out to them. You have these guys that are up here right now that are retailers and that are things that you want to do, hit them. They'll hit you back. They'll have conversations with you. When Joe asked if you knew Vic, that was a leading question. He was like, he was telling you to go pick his brain.
Yeah.
Go show up. You want to be in the cool kids club, go to their events, show up.
And bro, don't be ashamed of being you, man. Like one thing I've never heard from is the fact that even when I wasn't around people who were working on positive things and it wasn't cool to be smart. The thing that I always realized is that I thought about things a little different. And don't be ashamed of your strength because people appreciate you because of it. Mm-hmm. So lean into those guys. Vic, great guy. Corey, great guy. Joe, great guy. Who am I missing?
Val.
Who? No, I'm talking about Val. Yeah, Val. Great guys. All those dudes will respect that, man. Lean into those dudes and be authentic to who you are, bro.
But hey, James, I want to chime in on this real quick. You know, the thing that you were saying coming from another space, I mean, I even think back when I first moved to New York at the end of 2005, I had been in the fashion industry on the urban side of the business, which is completely different now. But I didn't even know, like when I went into streetwear as what streetwear was then, I didn't know what Hypebeast was. I was just learning about streetwear. You wouldn't know it today based on where I am today. But at that point, and the way the culture was, I was 100% an outsider. And then if you look at the business that myself and my partners have built over the years, we are 100% a part of this culture. Hell, we've helped build certain aspects of this culture. But when we came in, we weren't part of the culture. Yeah. So I only say that to you. It doesn't matter where you came from, man. You can come in and, you know, and find your own path, find your own way, be true to yourself, and you'll be fine. You know?
No, you know, 100%, man, Dre, and I appreciate that, man. I just hit you with the follow on IG too, but what I was gonna say was, when I first moved to Chicago, like I was actually lucky enough to work at Nike when it was still Nike Town, downtown on Michigan Avenue. I worked there for 5 years, so I was able to, you know, meet the scammers to the most luxury guys in the city. And
do you know my Uncle James Eulis?
Oh, I love Mr. James Eulis. What do you mean?
Then you're well on your way, Malik.
Like, bro, you sound like you're on your way. Obviously, we do this every 2 weeks. You got access to us. This platform is here for it. If you got any other hurdles you want to get over, hit us up, bro.
I appreciate that, man.
Congratulations, because you on your way, bro.
Absolutely.
Man.
Good luck.
Hey, I'll see y'all in a few years, man.
All right, luck.
Hey, take care,
Yes,
man.
sir.
When you get here, it might not be a few years, might be a few weeks.
Yeah.
Sound good, man. Post Corona, man.
All right, bro.
Yes, sir.
What's up? What's up?
Ramon or Ramon?
How you doing?
How you doing, bro? Is it Ramon or Ramon?
It's Ramon.
Ramon.
What's up with you, bro?
I'm doing good. I'm actually based out of DC. But I'm actually from Florida. I came up here to play football at Georgetown.
Damn.
So I've been up here the last 4 years. And I'm kind of getting into, I graduated last year. I'm getting into more so film and media. But being that you have like James, like a presence in DC, with Ama Menier over there. Where is it? By H Street.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to talk to you more so about like, because you have like APB, social status, and Ama Menier. Like, because I'm in a situation where I'm trying either do like a house of brands or brand a house, and being that you have like so many different names and they're each are individual in their own like culture, but they are more or less in the same space of a shoe and clothing boutique. What's the best way? Why did you like more so like take that route as opposed to just like having that same name and just spreading it all across like that?
So if hearing you right, you're asking me why do we take the route of having multiple banners instead of one boutique that just expanded around the US?
Yeah.
I love what LV. Well, we forgot Prosper. You mentioned APB. I'm on your social status. I don't want to forget Prosper.
Yeah.
So first with that, and second with, I'm a student of history, and I try to keep my eyes open and look at the whole field. If you look at the field and you look at what luxury houses like the Kering Group or LVMH, and even if you look at somebody strategically like Nike, which owns a bunch of other brands, and even Adidas has stated it has other brands under it. All these things have subsidiaries.
Yeah.
For me, it was always about speaking directly to the consumer where they are, right?
Mm.
In DC, because it's an elevated marketplace, we can sell a twist between everything from Dior to Alix to I'm trying to think, Human Made. Then we can go into sneakers, and we can cross left and right in sneakers, right? But
Yeah.
we take that same feel, aesthetic, and brand mix to Columbia, South Carolina, and connect the same way, right?
Mm-hmm.
So for me, it was understanding what the geographical audience was and meeting the consumer in the community where they were. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
And I knew if we were going to connect the right way, there were common threads across the brand barriers that make sense in different geographies, but the whole picture didn't, right?
Okay.
So for me, it was like, okay, how do we have an ecosystem that where everything feeds off of itself, but at the same time serve local communities? Does that make sense?
Yeah. That was like one of the main questions I was just trying to figure out, because I've been like just following you for a long time, and being that you're one of the pretty big like people in the city, like I was just trying to like study and see. Like I just watched or just listened to your podcast with Jeff Staple earlier today, and I was just trying to figure out like why did you decide to do that? But that makes perfect sense now. Just trying to like, because there's always a different consumer, and just to reach a mass audience, but keeping that same like intimate feel and like that direct streamline to that particular audience without watering down that overall product. I understand that now. But yeah, that was like my only question. That was like the main thing that was like bothering for like last couple of months. I'm like, I just didn't know like what was the reason for that. But what you broke it down makes perfect sense now. But yeah, I'll probably like when this ends, I was actually just on my way to plan to go down there, and but this like coronavirus like slowed everything down. But yeah, I'll definitely be in touch with more of these conversations, and I'll probably hit your line like, after this. But yeah, that was like my main question, because that was like really bothering me.
No, thank you, bro. Thank you for coming in. Thank you for investing your time. And anytime you got questions, please hit us up. And this platform is here for these kind of questions in 2 weeks. And once we get going to retail, we'll be doing hand wash code events in DC.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, bro.
Yep.
How you guys doing?
Good.
What's up, man?
Yeah, James, I don't want to disrespect your hustle. My question is gonna be a little fast forward to where you're at now, right?
Yep.
I just wanna know, like, what do you think were your top 3 qualities, as for you as a businessman or for your brand, to be able to get like your own sneaker with Nike, right? Like the Air Force you designed, like what were your top 3 qualities that you think got you that opportunity and to get your sneaker out there like the way it did, like the authentic way, right?
Hustle, determination, resilience, and a solid team. And I think all those things, are 100% there is, and the other one is nobody else is going to outwork me. So when I hear no, I try to figure out how to get the yes and try to figure out how to get better and why to get better. And I think those are it. Like at the end of the day, I think the one thing that sets me apart from most people is my hustle. And I think the thing that I was probably blessed with, the secret sauce is I'm strategic and I understand when to hit the gas and when to hit the pedal. So obviously aligning with
master relationship.
Yeah.
Built.
You say no, he'll find 5 more ways to try to tell him yes. I mean, I never seen nothing like it.
But like going back to his authenticity too, even when you saw how that shoe spread, like all the artists and like music assets and cool guys that had the shoe, from like guys on this thread like Dion to like chicks like Nina Chanel, like those are all friends of his. So he spent the last 12 or 15 years collecting people and building authentic relationships in a ridiculous Rolodex with people that really fuck with him. Everyone that really fucks with him took it and loved it and put it out to their world. And you can't, like, there's no recipe for that. That's just him. That's who he is.
Yeah, it was just he was able to take advantage of his relationships, and obviously his taste level is up there. So, you know, it was just a matter of time.
He had to make a shoe that he could actually wear.
Yeah, but he had to
Jordans, Air Force, like, man, I'm over here. Shit, I don't even want to say. I don't know what I'm getting for a shoe.
You help build concepts. Thank you for coming in and supporting us with your time, and we appreciate the energy.
Awesome.
Yeah, we back here in 2 weeks, man, and we here to keep building a platform for you. So if you got questions, just please keep showing up, and we appreciate the time investment.
No, always. Thank you guys for doing this.
My guys, man.
What's up?
Appreciate the opportunity, guys. As you've probably been seeing in the chat, I have a brand called Aviator Thoughts, based out of DC. Study fashion, was first an entrepreneur doing events at a large nightclub called Love, and leveraged that platform to test out my concept. 10 years ago, long story short, I went on a long developmental, personal, and business hiatus. And the concept of Aviator Thought has since grown from a clothing brand to a business ecosystem now. Having said that, I've actually done a pop-up at James's DC store. I was also a school driver that we raised money for a DC public school in the area. But again, my question is, getting my business, there's different facets to it. Obviously, the lifestyle brand and the product is the most important right now. That's what we produce for the world. But in articulating the different phases and the different aspects of the business, and working with someone such as yourself and you guys who have different platforms, what is the best way beyond just, obviously you want to establish that relationship, but it's best to have people such as yourselves be attracted to the product that we're creating, and then have you guys reach out in some capacity. You guys have people reaching out to you like all the time. So what advice would you give someone to create that thing that gets the attentions from people such as yourselves? I mean, I'm gonna get more press and do stuff like that next. I wanted to focus more so on organic connections and organic sales and things of that nature. But I'm just looking at what I'm producing. What's the best way to get on you guys' radar?
You got to make noise.
Go ahead, pal. Go ahead, pal.
Make some magic.
Yeah, you gotta make noise. I mean, people listen to you when you yell, and they turn their head. They're like, "Oh shit, you know, a fucking bus is coming. You got to be the bus." Like I'm watching the actual group chat, right? And I'm chiming in here and there, and I've been watching you. You've been the most active, putting your name out there.
I saw that too.
Yeah, but you got to do that everywhere. Like you're making noise.
But that was my next question. I naturally have an outgoing personality, but because of the business side of what we're doing, and you know the type of poise and perception that you have to have, I've kind of scaled back on my personality and me being so much the face of the brand. And some of the back and forth that I have with myself and, you know, some of my friends is, do I step up as the face of Aviator Thoughts, or do I let the concept and the anonymity and the mission of the brand?
And this is just my opinion. And again, read Primal Branding. It talks about you need a face, right? When you think of Apple, Steve Jobs is gone. He's the face. You need a face. Also, hyper focus. Hyper focus. It sounds like you got a couple of things going on, and James can attest to this because he used to tell me, Dre used to tell me, hyper focus on what you want to do. Yo, don't be a spotlight, be a laser, and focus on one thing. You know what I'm saying? And then after you right now you're making noise.
It's the
You know what I'm
augmented
saying?
reality.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. I was like, what's happening?
Yo, but the thing is, after you hyper focus, you can start playing around with some other stuff. You know, but if you're doing the brand, do the brand, penetrate with that. You're gonna build your little ecosystem just through that. And then you can start picking other pieces, and people are gonna start noticing because you're gonna have walking billboards through the damn city.
I'm not crying. I was just saying it to get on you guys' radar right now. Aviator thoughts. Shoot me that email, James. But like to your point, brother, I definitely will start to make more noise. And thank you for that confirmation. I will put myself out there more as a face of the brand, but also as an example of what the power of Aviator thoughts is. It was my thought got me through here. My hard work and determination actually got my hand picked to be on this platform. So again, I appreciate the time you guys gave me, and I look forward to working with you guys in the future, man.
Blessings and respect, bro.
Easy.
That shit's crazy, huh?
Back in, we looking forward to get back up there, bro.
Man, come back up, man. I got family in North Carolina too, Mount Airy, so I might be down there.
Nah, I'll see you probably before you see me. I'll see you up there.
Say less. Appreciate y'all.
Hit it, bro.
Luck to you, man.
No doubt.
Man, how y'all doing, man?
Hey,
bro.
What up?
Man, I'm from Little Rock, Arkansas, and I'm working on a sneaker store called Walking History. So I wanted to just kind of get an advice from the ones who own the store and kind of get an idea of something you guys would say to y'all past self before y'all open y'all store, and just get some information regarding that, like kind of what y'all tell y'all younger self, or some advice you would tell someone who's getting ready to open a store with the nature of what's going on now, and taking consideration that this has been my passion my whole life. So this is something I'm gonna keep chasing regardless of the pandemic, regardless of what comes. But just being upcoming from Little Rock, Arkansas, being the only person who's going to be selling shoes that are not just sold at a Foot Locker or that regular sneaker Hibbett Sports type of base. I feel like I have that lane, so I want to take over that. But ultimately, I just wanted to get some advice from people that I look up to and have been inspirations for the last 8 years of my life since high school. So,
bro, the thing that I always done was I looked at things that I knew were tasteful. The thing that I would tell myself was I would always ask myself less about retail merchandise and more about retail experience. What would Louis Vuitton do? What would some of the best retailers around the globe do, and try to mimic the greats, if that makes sense. And one of the things that I've always tried to do is mimic the greats, not just through less about brand mix and all about experience, all about feel, all about nostalgia, all about those chills you get when you walk into a space and it smells right, it looks right, the lighting's right, it sounds right. So no different than you would in sport. MJ's the greatest basketball player to ever play the game. So a lot of people who come after him mimic him. Retail's not different. Retail's not any different. Mimic the greats. Fall in love with different qualities from different retailers, and look at those things that they do well, and figure out how to do them better, bro.
Most definitely, man. Most definitely. Like I said, I represent Walking History, and we a team based out of Little Rock, man, and we've been doing pop-ups. Pretty much the first ones to start doing innovative and sneaker pop-ups out of Little Rock. Now I'm living in California, so I'm pushing my sneaker brand as well as my clothing brand, Inspired by God. So, I'm really big about the community aspect. I'm really big about the collaborating. So, like I say, I'm just learning from those who I've been inspired by. At the same time, man, like I say, I'm really just soaking it all in.
Bro, this platform is here for you. Whatever you need from us, hit us and keep coming back. The information's here for you, bro.
Most definitely, man. I appreciate y'all time for real. And I hope to connect out there with the southern part of the city. Out there in New Orleans. I know we got politics out there, so that's crazy to be on this voice call with this man. So,
no, Derek's definitely in the building somewhere.
What up, man?
Yeah. Shout
Where
out,
you
man.
trying to do a store at? You trying to do it in Arkansas?
Yeah, the reason I really want to connect with Little Rock is because that's where I grew up at, and there's not a store yet that you can the artist can get there and say, hey, I can't get no Bread Ones today. I can't go and buy no Concord 11s today, or I can't go and buy whatever what I feel like buying today. And there's people with money. There's people who want to buy those things, and I just want to put that retail store to it because I love innovation. I love marketing. So I really want to create that unique space, like James was saying. Like that's my goal. That's my vision, is to create that unique space.
Yo, I'm gonna hit you with some negativity, and I'm gonna bring you up.
For
so
sure.
There's a store in Little Rock right now, Rock City Kicks.
For sure, I have a great connection to Rock City. Yes.
Amazing guys.
Yes.
Little Rock is a small community, so it's really hard for them to get product that they want. Like the major brands aren't really giving them the product because the population isn't there.
Most definitely.
At the same time, you could do whatever you want, man, because everyone told me no 700 times, then I made it happen. Because Louisiana was in the state when I first
You
came
didn't
in.
start in New Orleans. You started in Lafayette.
Exactly.
That's crazy.
Which no one knows where that's at.
Most definitely. No, I appreciate the negative aspect, and I'm actually friends with Corey, who's the owner of Rock City. So that's the culture I grew up around. Being back in high school, being back young. But like I said, I'm trying to bring that new innovation, that consignment. Kind of like that sneaker gap, something that's really going to uplift sneaker culture.
As long as you believe in yourself and you keep pushing your own motive, you'll be good.
Most definitely, man. I appreciate that.
It's
been inspiring.
Keep grinding, bro.
Thank you, man. Thank you so much for this, and I hope to be in a conversation in the same room with you guys soon.
All right, man. Keep pushing.
You in the conversation. You having it now, brother.
100%.
Yo, what's good, y'all? First, James, I appreciate it. Thanks for putting this together. It's been amazing. I was on here the last time. My question is to really Ari and Dre. I'm a partner in Atlanta Streetwear Market. We basically have a direct-to-consumer kind of trade show for independent streetwear designers. But I've been approaching my partners on us doing like a showroom to represent these up-and-coming streetwear brands that don't necessarily have, the opportunity to reach retailers on a scale because they're so small. So we are able to house them not only for our event, but to start to push them on a larger scale. And I feel like there's a lot of other cities that are like flyover cities that don't get the attention that a lot of major markets get. So I wanted to kind of get like the foundation's opinion on how to levitate and grow that I feel like there's a market void there.
Go ahead, Joe.
You go ahead and take it, Ari.
So if I'm understanding your question correctly, you have a digital platform.
Nah, it's not digital. It's in real life. It's called Atlanta Streetwear Market. We're direct to consumer. We house a lot of independent streetwear brands bi-monthly.
So it's a physical space.
Yeah, it's a physical pop-up. We do it in Atlanta, and we do it at
direct to consumer, and you want to take those brands possibly and maybe some other brands and go from selling direct to consumer to wholesale, or taking the pop-up concepts along the route.
Now, mainly give the independent streetwear brands the opportunity to reach retail if they don't have the opportunity to, let's say, travel to New York or travel to LA.
You want a showroom and you want to travel to New York and LA and stuff like that.
Yeah, just representing smaller brands that aren't getting the necessary maybe press or backing that some brands are getting right now.
So if that's your goal and that's your dream, and to help some of these smaller guys maybe become big guys, or maybe just get some notoriety or get in front of people they're not getting, I think like on the showroom side, that's how most of us started. We started with brands that people probably didn't know. I mean, even when Dre and Antoine had Creative Rec, it was tiny. It was not what it was 3 years later. So almost all of us on the sales side and all the retailers up here started with brands in their stores that probably weren't known, and helped nudge that culture and bring it about. So I think it's very feasible and very possible. It's the way most of us started. My advice to you would be to tread carefully, because when you're a salesman and you own a showroom, you're spending money and doing a lot of work to get to these retailers, to introduce them to these brands and to get them to take them in. And that's one part, right? Then you got to help it sell and go do the events and engage with their communities and do all those things. Yeah. And sometimes the brands you're representing don't have the capital they need to deliver what you might go out and sell. So you just got to do your homework and make sure that you know the guys you're investing in and the guys that you're representing, and making sure that they can deliver on what you're out promising. You have to know how good their financial structure is, or how good their ability is to go actually make things that you sell. Because what's happened to all of us on the sales side is we've gone and sold tons and tons of things, and the brands can't make and deliver them. So we've spent time and money. We've pissed off our retailers, planning, wasting their time, wasting their mental capacity, or utilizing their team's time. And then we don't make money, we actually lose. And now we pissed off a friend because they're not getting something they thought they were getting. So it's very feasible. It's just, you've got to really know who those people are and who those partners are and what they're actually capable of, and don't sell yourself short. Like, just representing them on sales is a huge opportunity for these small brands, and some small brands become big brands. And when they do that, they forget the people that helped them get there. So my advice to you is the ones you really believe in, you know, you want to get some equity. You want to get some ownership in those things. If you're taking them from 0 to 5, fuck 10, you know, if you're helping them, you need to get helped on the flip side of that.
That would be my question. In order to make sure that most of these orders are fulfilled, would it make sense to put equity in these brands in order to make sure that we do deliver on said date that we promise to a retailer?
I can't answer that question for you because it's not my money.
Yeah.
So with my own money and with our company's money, we're careful. You know, we really try to pick those partners carefully where we invest. And even with all the knowledge and experience and being careful, we've invested and lost plenty of times.
Gotcha.
So you just got to ask yourself, can I afford to lose this money? Because that's the only way to invest in something. If you're dependent on getting the money back, the answer is no.
Good advice,
If you
Ari.
can afford to lose it, then hell yeah.
Good advice, Ari.
Also, one other thing, time is an investment as well. Time is one of the most valuable things that we have. So it's not only your money, but it's your time that you'll have to invest in these things. And like Ari said, you just got to be real careful. Like your, you know, your ambition for what you want to do is like really cool. But when you get into the logistics of being able to do it for like multiple brands, it can get real complicated.
I got you. I appreciate that.
Yo, bro, thank you for investing your time. And this is what the platform is here. Obviously, we here every other week, and you in Atlanta, so we'll be doing a lot of that Be Social space. These guys at the foundation are some of the best in the business, so you can reach out to them, and I'm sure they'll be responsive. Thank you for investing your time in them.
Yeah, man, and good luck.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Good luck,
you,
man.
Ari. Thank you, Dre. Appreciate that.
Bobby Hundreds on that bitch.
Yeah, so.
What up?
Bobby, what up, man?
I didn't see him.
Oh, there he is. There he is.
Sherm on there. Sherm, what up?
Hey, guys.
What's up, Bobby?
What's up, Bobby?
How are you?
Why didn't you
Man,
text
you know-
somebody and say you were sitting back there all that time?
Yeah, bro. You definitely should have hit me, bro. I'm here to listen. Josh, one of my guys, Josh Gibson, is in the room and told me to jump on. If I had known, I got in a little late. So,
Nah, that's dope, man.
how are you? You guys everyone is beautiful and looks so happy and good right now. Like, this is encouraging to see.
Man, you too, bro.
Yeah.
Man, life could be worse, bro.
Yeah.
The
still
camera adds 10 pounds, right?
What's that?
I'm really in shape. The camera adds 10 pounds, right?
Man, listen, I appreciate everyone. Y'all could have been anywhere in the world tonight, but y'all chose to be online with us. So I appreciate y'all investing y'all time, and appreciate y'all believing in all of us and what we do. That's more humbling than what you guys will ever know from me. And I think everybody here I speak for too. Thank y'all for spending y'all time.